your ability to have perception of opportunity is directly correlated to your spiritual growth. So if you've evolved spiritually, then what will happen is all these opportunities that you have directly in front of you will come to light. And all the shit of hell will just get blocked out because you don't resonate with it, okay? You don't resonate with it. So let me show you exactly what that looks like and why those dumb motherfuckers that would say that this is wrong are just agents of the fucking shit system, pathetic fucking losers who you should absolutely fucking ignore and you should wake the fuck up. But here's the problem. If I say this to you directly as a teacher, I cannot reach you, okay? I have to speak to you. Know when you're speaking to a baby, I have to talk to you like a fucking baby and keep being like, I have a watch, I have a mansion, titties, because your brain won't see the next level to it, right? So when I taught my son Vincent how to ski, we put Skittles all down the ski hill and go, Vincent, ski another 20 feet and you could have a Skittle, right? It's like you can build a business and have a watch. You can learn social skills and suck some titties, right? So that you think that, so that'll get you down the path.
So in the beginning, if you feel like your life's in hell, hell is a metaphor for that cycle of being lost on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, as soon as you finish your 9 to 5, never actually proactively breaking out of the loop that you're in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and consciously just seeing downside, being in those low vibe states of fear, apathy, so on and so forth. In the beginning, if that is you, the key is baby steps. Everybody say baby steps. Like he's saying with his son that he's got to put a Skittle on the hill and he's got to keep skiing just to get the Skittle. You got to give yourself low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit for motivation for what he's trying to impose on you is the watch, the mansion, dating, all that kind of stuff. But what is the low-hanging fruit for yourself? Because your motivation is your own. You're at a certain paradigm. At the end of the day, the seminar is going to be amazing. It's not fully customized for you. If I'm apathetic, I might have to channel my anger a little bit more. If I'm angry, I might have to channel my courage a little bit more, and so on and so forth. Low-hanging fruit. Say low-hanging fruit. So low-hanging fruit means I just dangle the carrot that's right in front of my face, and I keep going. What is that line about hell? When you're going through hell, what do? Say it again. Say it again. So it's about taking those baby steps.
If he wasn't a nice guy, when he said what was it, and you guys answered quiet, in reality, he should walk out of here. Like he's giving that much. He says, what is it? You all know the answer. Keep going. You've all heard it. And then you're like, keep going like that. Do you see the hell that you're in? Do you see the hell you're in just by looking at that lack of responsiveness, okay? When you're in hell, what do? Keep going. Okay, can you feel the energy system that Sid and I are in versus where you guys are? Yeah. Can you feel the difference in energy abundance? Yeah. Okay, so let's loop in what Sid is saying, okay? So that's called hell. Your energy system has been, the hose of energy has been kinked, and that's part of why you're in hell. This is a little point I want to make, okay? I know in your mind, you're like, I just didn't want to answer because I'm tired. Fuck you, okay? Get fucked. Suck my dick. Fuck you, okay? You're lying. You're in hell, okay? Because if I was in an audience, I have my phone down, I'm paying attention, I'm respecting the speaker, and I'm giving back the energy that I'm being given because I come from abundance, okay? It's the same thing with when you're at a restaurant, you give a big tip. When you're on the street, you know, if you eat at a restaurant, you pull out 20s, maybe even hundreds, you give it to all the cooks, you give it to all the staff. You don't give it to a homeless guy on the street, they're just gonna suck it up, but you give away freely. You give, you're in abundance. You're a high energy person, you're an energy self-generator. Now let me show you another couple things, okay? So,
it's basically what he's saying is that it's a indicator light. The low projection is an indicator light of whether your energy is in a downward spiral or upward spiral. Whether when you go out and socialize, you're doing business, whether your cup runneth over with good vibes, flow, fun, presence, or it is in a taker frame where mentally you're going to be transactional, and that's going to keep fucking you up over the course of your life because there's an agenda and people sense that out of your subcommunication and it oozes out of your pores.
And why do you have low energy, by the way?
And by the way, when that happens, when you're in that hell and it is more transactional, it takes you out of that frame of dating being easy, business being easy, things coming to you easily, and it's a version of what a homeless person would look like coming up to you on the street. And you only get it, and you probably all felt it to where when you do hit flow, when you do hit fun, when your cup runneth over with good emotions, and you hit those moments or you ride the momentum of that. Who here's been in that upward spiral for weeks or months or been in that kind of upward spiral before? Everything is just coming. When you're in that, doesn't the average person, even if they're subtly having an agenda, look like a homeless person coming up to you, wanting something? So that's what really what he's trying to say here is that he's looking at the audience not just through the lens of something practical. He's looking at it like spiritually. We can look in your eyes. We've dealt with thousands of clients for somebody that's more transactional versus somebody that's more in their essence or abundance. And the difference is in the eyes. Everybody say the eyes. The eyes. So we can read you by looking in your goddamn eyes. Now you get attuned to that when you dealt with thousands of people like us, and you yourself will get attuned to that when you start interacting with more people. But not only that, when your brain switches on, the winner effect is higher. You'll look at people's eyes and you'll know. You can read the vibe instinctually.
By the way, just want to jump into the video and interrupt for 2 seconds. I'm driving up the coast right now, okay? I'm in the Pacific Northwest. The best time of year to be here is God's country in this time of year. And I'm headed up to Portland and Seattle to run some free events this weekend coming up. I'd love to see you fly out and join me in the Pacific Northwest. It is God's country at this time of year. It's so good. Why don't you come out here, join me? Maybe we'll go out and do a little bit of hiking. And at the event, what I'm going to do is show you how to make a lot of cash using your unique strengths. I'm going to show you how to get spiritually tapped in ways that are customized to you, because I'm going to begin to understand you at the event. I'm also going to show you social skills by taking you out for a quick field trip out to the bars and clubs. And I'm going to get you on stage doing public speaking so you can become a better communicator. We do all of this at the free event. So anyway, look, I'm on my summer tour. This is probably my last summer tour for free events. Like I said, it's going to be Portland, Seattle, and then after that, I'm going to be doing Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, Denver, New York City, Boston, DC, and Honolulu. If you'd like to get out to the free event, we're going to be building you a mastermind, getting you a ton of feedback. I'd love for you to join me in the Pacific Northwest, but really to any of the cities coming up. Probably my last year doing free events like this. I actually want to go home, cut some weight, and work on the business. But I'm enjoying being out here right now, so this is your moment. If you want to get to the free event, make sure that you lock in your seat while the seat's still available before the room fills. Click the link right now, and I'll see you at the free event. Why is it that you would be in scarce energy? What's the cause of it?
You're not in flow, you're not on your purpose, so God's taking away from you.
Yeah, it's where you're sourcing your energy from. So if you're sourcing your energy from a take, then ultimately you're disconnected from your essence. And because you're disconnected from your essence, you're always in scarcity permanently, right? And then what that does is it shuts down perception and it holds you in hell so that you will keep sourcing not from your essence, okay? So proper way is source from essence. That gives you not unlimited energy, but psychotic amounts of energy, psychotic amounts of abundance, and then you act from there. But if you're sourcing from the physical world, primarily, because we do need physical support, Eastern herbs are great, fucking nutrients are great, sleep is great, shelter is great. We need certain things, right? Sleep, all that. But aside from that, if you're sourcing from essence, that opens up your perception, because what happens is perception opens and you can see opportunity when you're sourcing from essence because you are resonant to those opportunities.
But in the beginning, when you have to baby step yourself, it's little things like, I got this little win, pat on the back. I am using the low-hanging fruit of motivation, pat on the back. I hit a flow state for the first time in a year, pat on the back. And you begin to ride the momentum off that, because those little moments where you hit flow or you get a win, those are moments where you learn. Everybody say you learn. Because you learn, it creates an opening and you're like, okay, how did I act when I was operating from my higher self, from flow, from presence? And then how did I act when I was operating from scarcity? And you realize you're almost like split in the mind. It's almost like a splitting. It's almost like two different people that live in you at all times. We're all schizophrenics, basically. And once you begin to realize that, I'm either hijacked by me being transactional and trying to draw my energy from the physical world, or I'm drawing it from flow, from God, from source. Whatever you want to label it is whatever you want to label it. We're all pointing to the same thing with either one. Once you start drawing from the right energy, you actually learn what being authentic is. You don't even know what the word authenticity or genuineness is until you start drawing from source.
Yeah, that's why even words like authenticity
because we'll say be authentic, be yourself, be genuine. And then if you're in that downward spiral, you're like, I genuinely want to be transactional. I genuinely want to get my hooker in cocaine. It's not really you. You're hijacked.
Because try to think of it this way, okay? So with my son Vincent, when I taught him how to ski, if I say to him, hey, the reason why you ski is because you will be up in the mountains with a view of half the fucking state. You'll be in a flow state. You'll be with your brothers, with your family, skiing down hills, up in the trees, up in the mountains. Just the view of it going up the lift is a spiritual download, let alone cruising down that, in that bonding moment with your family together. If I say that to my son when he's young, does he understand that? And can he gain energy from that? No. Why is he not able to gain energy from that yet at a younger age? Why not? Because his energetic receiving systems have not opened up yet. He's a kid. He does get it from play and certain things. But if I say Skittles, like a little, cancer dyed, red dye, whatever, with like made out of, what was it made out of?
Red, yellow, blue 40, yellow 5.
Bug or something. Yeah. Little bright colored Skittle that probably poisons you, but you're young, so you can afford to have a little bit of it. Basically, if we plant those every 30 feet, he'll get up and then he'll ski 30 feet. And then what'll happen is as he starts skiing, he'll begin to realize, wait a minute, I'm with my family, I'm up in the mountains, this is cool. So at first, it's a Skittle. So realize what we're trying to show you is a lot of what we show you in these seminars is we're handing Skittles to you because I'm not going to go to my son Vincent and then say, no, Vincent, get up and fucking ski, you little fucker, because you should appreciate the flow state, Vincent. You're fucking 11 years old, but you should know what a flow state is.
If we were to not be relatable, that is a huge sign that we are not intelligent. Intelligence is understanding the paradigm people are in and then making an avenue for them to, a bridge, a ramp, a road for them to get to those higher level paradigms. Think about this through the lens of your friends, through the lens of who you sell. If you have a product or service which you put so much potency, artistry, creativity, quality into, don't just expect them to understand that. Because perception is reality. Everybody say perception is reality. Perception. That Patek Philippe watch tells the time like a Timex Ironman $20 watch. Perception is reality. Everybody say perception is reality. Perception. Say it again. So you have to get the perception part of it down. Are they buying into human beings? The animal of a human being buys into halo effect at the end of the day. Is it dangling a carrot in front of the DNA or is it not? That's the only thing you got to ask yourself. I put all this potency behind a product or service. Did I market to that person like they are an animal? That part of it needs to be considered as well.
Yeah, so for example, let's say that you had a girlfriend, right? And you know that if you had that girl in your life, that you'd get her reading, you'd get her taking supplements, nutrition, you'd get her in nature, you'd get her around educational trainings, you'd have her doing fitness stuff with you. You'd get her off drugs. Because basically, like, everyone is on drugs and alcohol now. Like, you can't even get a girlfriend not on drugs and alcohol. That's not even a thing, okay? Like, every one of you is probably on drugs and alcohol. So it's like, so basically, you're gonna try to get them off drugs and alcohol. Well, by the way, guys complain about that. Like, I'm not gonna date someone who does drugs and alcohol. It's like, you allowed your society. It's your society, right? Founding fathers made it towards your society. You allowed your society to get so toxified that everyone's on drugs and alcohol. So now if you want to have kids with somebody, you're going to have to find someone on drugs and alcohol, rehab them, and then try to get them off drugs and alcohol and then have kids with them. Like that's where we're at. You can refuse to do it. Good luck finding an attractive girl not on coke. So okay, that's an LA thing. Right, okay? Even though we spend 80% of our year in small towns, but you can keep telling yourself that. When's the last time you went to fucking Montana or Wyoming? But you can tell yourself that we're only in LA. So look, obviously not everyone's on coke. That's an exaggeration, but you know my point. It's almost impossible to find. And then even the ones not on it will probably want to try it at some point. So you're literally living in this completely fucked up world where everybody's fucked up. Everyone's a fucking train wreck. Values have gone to shit because we collectively allowed it to get there. So because we collectively allowed it to get there, we have to connect to people with where they're at. So as a result, when you're meeting a woman, you can't just go to her and be like, hey, I would take you to educational trainings, I'd fucking get you off drugs, like I would fucking get you reading, I would help wake up your soul. You could say that maybe as a joke or something, but ideally, you have to learn to relate with things like being in your own frame, self-amusement, power of subcommunication, having proper social media, all these different things that you need to relate to where she's at, because that is her world, okay? Not only that, but she has, and I'll kind of gloss over this, but I've talked about in other talks, she has parasitic energetic entities that are running her brain just like how all of you do. And as a result of that, those parasitic entities will actually actively block anything that's higher vibe, okay? So then let's go kind of full circle. What is a seminar that is like this? A seminar like this is basically wisdom that has been accrued by doing things like meditation, spending time in nature, studying spiritual texts, studying scripture, being in deep flow states, being in decades of fucking momentum, reading tons and tons of books, tons and tons of literature. And then what happens is that allows the teacher to be able to access a higher level paradigm. Now that paradigm is not me and Sid coming up here going, we have the fucking sauce and you don't. We're not trying to come from a frame like that. What we're trying to tell you is that you also have the sauce. You have the sauce too. So we're not separating ourselves from you at all. What we're trying to do is we come up to a different...
In fact, you probably have more sauce than we do. The reason we have the sauce right now is because we didn't have the sauce, so we went extra hard to get the sauce. Does that make sense? But your natural set point might be a lot higher than ours. We meet dudes all the time that their public speaking transforms like this. 90-80% of what you're seeing up here. They just get it in a weekend. Why? Because they already have a strong nervous system and they're willing to actually try.
Yeah, there's people that have a higher starting baseline, right? Like I came from a very, very low place, so did Sid. So who knows what fucking shit we did to deserve that. But the point that I'm making is that you can crawl out of hell. So what crawling out of hell looks like, let me show you exactly what it looks like. I want to drill down on this, okay? So remember we talked about what heaven looks like, we talked about what hell looks like. You guys remember that? So here's what in reality you want to look like, and this is what nobody gets, and I'll explain to you also why it is self-reinforced in social media and in mainstream media and on TV, okay? So I want to show you what it looks like. If you genuinely resonate with being rich, having abundance, being at the cause, and just having an awesome life, this is kind of what you'd be doing. If I were to go into your phone right now, and I look at all the stuff that you've been looking at. Like I actually look at, okay, what have you been looking at? Okay, including all these dumb fucks that complain that the system is out to get them and that they can't succeed because of the system. If we were to go into their phones and look at their viewing history, you'd probably see a combination of porn, dumb, stupid shit like stupid ass podcasts, a bunch of gossip and trash. Now, would you see a bunch of very, very dense marketing texts? Would you actually see that? Like how many of you in this room, if I could pull out your phone right now, now this isn't a personal growth-based room, could pull out your phone right now and be proud of what you'd show me in your feed as far as what you're looking at, okay? Put your hands up if that's you. Okay, so there's maybe 5 people in the room where you could show me, and I'm not gonna challenge you because I predict there's gonna be a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah, read it out, guys. Radical honesty.
So what you'll see is somebody who genuinely resonates with life being awesome, here's what happens. You go into a book, say it's like Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, or Ayn Rand, The Fountain, as an example. That's something that you read more in your 20s, like early 20s, kind of like, porn for business people kind of thing, right? It's like a fantasy story about, business. But basically, a book like that that's 1,500 pages, when you're in a high vibe, you resonate with that shit. Like, you can't put it down. Like, I devoured Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, even though that's, 2,500 pages collectively. That's like reading 10 books. I just devoured it. I couldn't put it down. I would spend hours reading that stuff. I devoured almost every single text written by Seth Godin, who's like the top, or one of the like really transcendent marketing teachers. I devoured reading John Carlton or Dan Kennedy or Alex Hormozy or any of these incredible marketing teachers.
By the way, can I add something?
Yeah.
He devours it because the energy in him is what it resonates with that. And he has a very clear vision for his life that he has true self-belief in. And that makes you actually value your time and wanting to resonate with materials that are at a higher level. That being said, the thing about life in this day and age is that we are all frogs in boiling water. Everybody say frogs in boiling water. Our souls are being baby stepped away from us. What do I mean by this? So it's not the one dumb podcast like you're saying, or the one porn, it's not the one thing, it's the accumulation of it. It's not the accumulation of it, it's the compounding accumulation of it. It's not the compounding time that's lost, it's the compounding energy and focus that is also lost. If you're on your phone 6 hours a day, being a consumer, not a producer, that is 91 days a year. But if you account for sleep, that's 120 days a year. So even when you come back home from your 9 to 5, which is, for a lot of you, is sucking your soul away. Some of you guys love it, but a lot of you sucking your soul away. Then you come home, and then half the year is already gone on your phone. And if that material is not adding up to things that are going to actually help you, like marketing, like sales, like basic skills, like knowledge that you can actually apply now, not 10 years from now, but now, then there's no urgency and value for your time.
Yeah, look at it like this, guys. We taught social skills over the years, right? And I remember back in the day, I would talk about things like this on forums. And then what would happen is people would be cynical about it. Now, at the time, I was like, hey, I get it. This is before YouTube, before social media. I didn't really object to people being cynical about it or being doubtful and whatnot, I thought that actually made sense because I don't think you should believe everything that you read online. So anyway, what happened was I remember these 1080 cameras came out, Sony Handycams, right around the same time as YouTube got popular. And I knew that it was of spiritual importance for me to make recordings of this stuff that I was doing because I wanted people to see what was possible. I knew that once they saw it, that finally all those people that were skeptical, all those people that were cynical, all those people who didn't believe it would see it. And if it was laid out right in front of their face, magically, they would all get woken up and they would see it. And then I'd make the program called The Blueprint Decoded, and that would make them see it. And they'd all get it because it was right in front of their face, it was undeniable, and they would get it. And what happened was I started posting content like that, and here's what's weird. It's not as though every single text article that I post was all trolls or doubters or people that were cynical, and it's not as though every video I did, right? Most of the time, it's mostly positive with some people that are skeptical, and that's fine, I don't mind. But the point is, I would have thought that would have been a 99.9% conversion where people would have saw it and gone, oh shit, it's right here. This is what happened. It's clearly right here. I can't deny it. And then plus Blueprint Decoded, where I lay it out for 20 fucking hours, I thought that people would get it. What I found was the videos that actually showed it explicitly made them even more angry, okay? Even more angry. Look, I'm a fan of Mark Manson. I love the guy to death. Mark wrote, but Mark at the time was kind of a weird guy. He would add the weirdest comments. And it was the funniest thing because him and I had very, very similar content. He had a book called Models, I had Blueprint Decoded. We should have been good buddies. We should have been making videos together, kind of collaborating. I never looked at his content before because I was in my own lane, so I wasn't really looking at other people's content. And I remember once he did this huge critique of Blueprint that was this is shit, and he copied it from me, and da-da. And I was like, what's going on with this guy? Why is he actually saying that? I love Mark, and I think that he's evolved a lot with his new books. They're great. But what I realized at the time was you could lay out how things work in complete clarity. You could actually put up footage of examples of it, but what would happen is the better the thing that you'd put up, the more angry certain people will get, and they will deny what is directly up in front of their face.
But the reason that's happening too is because he's putting it out for free. That's actually the real problem there. If there was the right lane, and he put more dumbed down content for free, and then that was the premium of the premium of the premium content to unlock that, what you invest in, you value. Say what you invest in, you value. So boom, as soon as they invest into that, and if they've been down the journey, they've been related to properly, then maybe they have a shot at relating to something that's that high paradigm.
Yeah, what happened was, I bet you what happened with Mark was he knew his potential, because Mark always had the most potential. He's such a high potential guy. And I think when he was seeing me doing my thing, that pissed him off that he wasn't at his potential. And so for him to absorb what he was seeing, that would force him into the light specifically. He'd see, wait, Owen did this. I could do this, okay? I could do this too. So finally, he actually accepted his light later, not because of me, but because of himself, and then he became super famous and he helped change the world. So I'm proud of him for that. So that's kind of what I'm saying is I'd see people, do you guys remember when I critiqued, not critiqued, but when I did an analysis of Nala Fitness? She's an OnlyFans model, and I literally said, this woman is closer to God than the people that are critiquing her on this thing called the Whatever Podcast, right? Do you guys find it weird? That's a little weird, right? That literally, I've never done a critique ever of an OnlyFans girl, and not a critique, but an analysis of an OnlyFans girl. I picked her specifically to do an analysis. I said she's closer to God than the same people that are actually critiquing her on the Whatever Podcast. And then does anyone here know what happened with that Nala Fitness girl within about 2 months of when I did that critique? What happened? She completely changed. She gave up OnlyFans. She gave up all the bullshit. She got married, and she saw the light. Why do you guys think that after decades of never doing analysis of an OnlyFans girl, I felt a calling to do that analysis? What do you think that is?
You could see that potential in her.
Because I saw her right at the edge. So commonly, I contact people, in her case, I didn't contact her, but I commonly do contact people that I think are right at the edge of their perception opening up. But they resist it. They resist that perception opening up. They resist going in abundance. They resist things being easy. They resist being at the cause. And so if you show them something directly at a higher paradigm directly, and you don't, repeat this after me, refract the light. Say that. Refract. Yeah, if you don't refract the light through a bunch of dumb shit of the paradigm they're in with some fucking Skittles or whatever other dumb pig slop they want, if you don't refract the light and the light is too direct, they can't absorb it. And as a result of not being able to absorb it, they can't perceive what you're seeing and will even have backlash around what it is they're seeing. Now, I'm going to get even slightly headier, and this might be inappropriate for this talk because I feel like this is like a 5-hour breakdown. But let me explain briefly where the parasite occurs, okay? Do you guys want to understand briefly the parasite that blocks you? Yeah. Okay, here's the parasite that blocks you. Said 5-hour talk condensed into like 30 seconds or however long I take, okay? So basically, I want you to imagine that you're addicted to heroin, right? If you're addicted to heroin and you have to go have a needle to shoot the heroin in your arm, how much of an interruption is that to just this ongoing stream of heroin? Come on, guys. If you're addicted on heroin and you have to inject your arm to get the heroin, how much of an interruption do you have? You have you've got to go get some money to cop it, you've got to go get it, you've got to find a place to shoot it, and then you go shoot it, right? So that's like a junkie. Now, let's say have you guys ever seen what a real alcoholic or real heroin addict actually looks like? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay, so what'll happen if someone's actually addicted to alcohol is that person that you knew is in effect dead. They don't even exist. And it's just this biological blob of DNA that tries to get alcohol. So the alcoholic will literally lie to you, point blank to your face, like, hi there, hi Owen, how's your day going? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go down to Ralph's. I'm going here. No, I've cleaned up, don't even worry. And they'll literally go down there just to get the alcohol. They're not even a human anymore. The human in them is dormant, okay, beneath the addiction to the alcohol. So that person is not even there. The alcohol is a parasite. Heroin is even a worse version of that. Why do they tell you that you have to hit rock bottom to get off heroin? What is that? What's that mean? What has to happen? Why do you need to hit rock bottom to go off heroin?
Personally come out of your...
You need to have so much resistance. It has to be so bad that you can't get the heroin for so long that eventually consciousness comes back online.
You need to have a dark night of the soul where you're shaking in your bathtub at 3 a.m. and then maybe there's an opening.
Maybe.
Because once you go down that path, you might never come back. It's not just momentum, obviously, it's your whole, it's addiction, it's dopamine centers, but you're hijacked into the physical world at the highest degree. The odds that you're reconnecting to source at that point is gonna be a lot harder. You might find a little inkling, a little intuition. You gotta follow that for a long time before you can begin to tap in again.
Yeah.
But you might find your own version of that by being addicted to your phone or being addicted to weed or being addicted to junk food or something like this. But it's about developing a deep level of awareness to understand that parasite shit that he's talking about, or low winner effect, or I'm just thinking too much, all euphemisms for the same shit. It comes from low winner effect at the end of the day. And it comes from a deep lack of awareness. Everybody say lack of awareness. So how do we begin to develop a little bit of that awareness? Well, put yourself in situations where you can begin to get aware of what is actually running you. Say, what is running me? The same thing I was talking about earlier, where you approach somebody who you feel is too high status or too attractive and you feel starstruck or you feel afraid, and then you talk to them, realize nothing was wrong, the parasite recedes, and you realize there's opportunity around me. Understand, you have to collect more references of that and give yourself more data. Everybody say references. So now, what are some of the other things you have to do? It's basically 2 things. One is you have to starve out the quote-unquote parasite, and the second thing is you have to shift the energy. Everybody say starve out and shift energy. Starve out. What is one of the best things a heroin junkie or addict can do? Obviously, there's versions of this where if they come off cold turkey, some of them can die. But assuming the addiction isn't as bad, a lot of them just need to sit alone in a room and do nothing.
And suffer.
They just need to sit in a room and be dragged around physically and mentally by that thing, that energy that is running them, running their actions, and kill the momentum of that. Once the momentum starts to die down, then they can redirect their actions, which will then shift their energy and pop out those parasites. So, translation, aka meditate. Everybody say meditate. So getting attuned to your thoughts, becoming aware of it, and give yourself situations that challenge you where you have to be under a flow state and maybe you're under some pressure. Go push your comfort zone in a wide arena of areas, and this develops a deep level of awareness of what is running you. And then once you develop the awareness that, okay, I can change my fuel, I can get to that high vibe fuel, then you can start asking yourself, what kind of reality do I resonate with when I'm fueling myself from flow versus thoughts? What kind of actions am I taking? What kind of people am I around? And then you can begin to construct that heaven around yourself. So you approach somebody in the beginning, you're scared. What happens? Let's say I want to approach him. Yaga, you get pulled away. What's going on there? It's something is just pulling you away. That's a moment of awareness.
You're fueled by approval. You run away from the lack of approval rather than being fueled by flow and just sharing.
So you catch that in yourself. I was pulled away. This is what my mind told me. Then you actually do the approach, realize that nothing's that bad. Proof, not promises. Everybody say proof, not promises. Proof, not. Your brain gets proof. All of a sudden, the thoughts go away. Flow comes in. I can ride the momentum of that. I can get that habituated into my life and into my identity. And now I'm a different person, drawing my energy from different things. And then you can become your own version of that Kobe Bryant who's more transcendent. And there's reasons why those uncommon people are able to push themselves with that level of focus, that level of energy, never tiring out, is because they are tapping into something that is different than what the average person is tapping into. Even Kobe Bryant said it best. Like, he went to the NBA. Who had that? You had the Kobe Bryant shirt? Stand up. Turn around. Round of applause. Yeah, Kobe. All right. So Kobe. No, you're fine. You can sit down. But I was saying, Kobe would even go to the NBA, and like these NBA players are not actually serious about a championship. They're distracted by the strip club. They're distracted by going out every night, but they're not working on their social skills. They're just getting drunk. I know this because I was friends with a couple NBA players back when I used to run college track. Guys that would tell me, I want to win a championship. It's all fucking words. They actually ended up being broke later on in life. And I believed it when I was younger. But then I'd see them out at the party guzzling a 40, and I'm like, this guy's, he ain't serious. Why? Parasite. Everybody say parasite. Parasite. So it forces you to resonate with shit that's going to keep you stuck. Reality Transurfing calls it a pendulum. They're just in this endless circuit of groupthink, going along with what's trendy for other people around them, pretending like there's going to be this future, which never comes. Go into your own mind and think about your past and what you promised yourself you would be or have by now, and then realize that it didn't all come to fruition. Maybe some things came to fruition and other goals didn't come to fruition. Well, what's the core why those goals didn't come to fruition? It's actually what you resonate with, and the fact that maybe if you had that Kobe mentality of being able to tap into the right fuel source, not that he always tapped into the right fuel source, but if you can find a way to tap into the right fuel source, all of a sudden, not only do you just have this desire and this craving to get the goal, but now you effortlessly get the goal because it's something you truly want from the right place, so the actions have power behind them.
Yeah, I have no direct knowledge of this, but if I was guessing, this is just an educated guess, I would speculate, educated guess, I do not have direct knowledge of this nor claiming to, that Kobe probably died out of all the players young because his soul had finished what he came here to do. That's not discounting what happened to his daughter, the people on the flight, but that's just my opinion of what happens. I think it's too much of a coincidence that happened to Kobe specifically. And he also came from dark place in his career too, and you can see what he did, and you can look at his pupils, and you can see it. Now let me show you what the parasite is, okay? So do you guys remember when we talked about there's resistance there? Have you ever noticed that some of the most enlightened people are ex-junkies? You ever seen that? That is also because they finish that loop more quickly. So, you want to be spiritually enlightened, go do some, no, just kidding. Okay, so, but actually to be fair, you probably accelerated faster than someone in a middle-wage job. Still don't do it though. We have better ways. Okay, do not do that. Well, there's like that one moron who just sees this video and just goes, does heroin. But anyway, so, can't, what are you gonna do? But anyway, so, point being, okay, so you have that block. Now what would happen if instead of having to go cop the junk, inject yourself, and come up with the money, if instead you could just tap your arm and then you could get that same heroin high? What would happen? What would that person look like after a year if they could just tap their arm? What would they look like? Death. What would they look like, guys? They'd probably just be doing this, right? Now, what would happen then if you took that and it was just a thought in the mind that would release the heroin? It was just the word H, 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 H. Then what would happen? What would that person look like? Say you found them. What would they look like? Come on, guys. What would they look like? You'd find them just on the ground like that, right? Just going H. Now, what would happen is that, do you guys know what a flywheel is? Who can give me the approximate definition of a flywheel? What is a flywheel?
Like beneficial things feed themselves and it grows synergistically.
Yeah, so Casey gave it. So it's something that is, it could be a negative flywheel or a positive flywheel, but basically it's building off of its own momentum. So the more that person goes first this and then H, eventually that flywheel would become so strong that person would no longer have conscious will, because the more that they're engaging in the flywheel, that becomes self-reinforcing, and they just go, that would be that.
The more they engage in the flywheel, mental volition translates into physical volition. So there's a flywheel that the tail starts wagging the dog mentally.
The tail wagging the dog.
And once that tail wagging, once that disruption happens in the brain and you start taking action from that place, there's a momentum to that. The results you start getting start reinforcing those actions, start reinforcing that paradigm, and then it becomes your identity. And all of a sudden, that's when you get homeless people who live amongst other homeless people and just can't escape no matter what. Like that's how you literally get Skid Row.
Yeah, now guys, what happens is, if somebody is in that paradigm, they just need heroin, anything that you say to them that is outside of the paradigm of them getting what fuels them, anything outside of that, they can't see it. So I know this because typical me, I'm so ridiculous, I'm such a cartoon character. Do you think that maybe I've gone to homeless people and begged them to come to these seminars?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes.
You all know me. You know Owen, crazy Owen. How many hours do you think I've spent trying to get them to come? You know, okay? So I try to get everyone to come.
Have you ever had one person come?
Never.
You know what's interesting is that for those of you guys that know the channel Soft White Underbelly, he like interviews a bunch of homeless people on Skid Row and a bunch of people that have a lot of issues. The two things he says that always fuck everybody up, and how, like when you wonder how does someone become homeless, and he's interviewed the craziest of them. He says it's two things: trauma plus addiction. Everybody say trauma plus addiction.
Trauma plus addiction.
Something fucks up the brain and then they need to mask it with some kind of addiction. And he said that the entire time he's tried to help people, and he's dealt with thousands of them, he's never gotten one that would actually improve themselves when he gave money, support, anything. Not one. Because that person has to fundamentally be ready themselves. It can't come externally.
If you interrupt their karma, you take on their karma. And so what happens is that if that person's in that loop, they are being fueled by heroin. Now, what is the problem with being fueled by heroin specifically? Okay, let's look at fuels now. Shift your attention to the concept of fuel. What does heroin give? What does heroin take? What's it give? Gives a lot of pleasure, right? What does it take from you? What's that? Basically just it rewires your brain, rewires your whole system, creates addiction, probably depletes the nutrients, synaptic pathways, will, prefrontal cortex, deactivates parts of the brain, so that all that's left is this person who has no impulse control and just craves heroin, and that's just kind of where they're at, right? So don't deny the fact that heroin does give something on the front end. It's not like you just take it and it's like eating Brussels sprouts. It doesn't taste that good and then it sucks. No offense if you like Brussels sprouts, but what it does, it gives you something and then it takes, right?
Basically, let me just add to this real quick. So it's like the same example I was giving you where you're trying to approach somebody and there's something in the brain that physically pulls you away. That something, which is now craving to go home and jerk off and can't approach somebody, with something as strong as heroin, you're now completely hijacked by it. The consciousness is gone.
So what's happening is, if you look at how the person's hooked on heroin, that gives them something, but it takes, right? Then you have, TikTok, porn, all this, distraction, stupid ass podcasts that give you nothing, anything that's just just basically meant to give you a little bit of short-term entertainment, but doesn't help you, right? What happens is, what does that stuff give you? What does doom scrolling give you on the front end, and then what does it take? Or what does a job give you on the front end, and what does it take? Or what does any kind of like shit talking and trashing people, what does that give you on the front end? What's
heroin? He's saying heroin. The reason he's saying heroin because it's extreme. Right now he's talking about the softer addictions. The softer addictions are almost more insidious because at least with something hard, if you hit rock bottom, you have the emotional leverage to potentially pull yourself out of it. What's your emotional leverage when you are being coddled by a 9-to-5 job you hate and you come home and you stare at TikTok and you eat cheese doodles? What's the incentive to escape that routine? It's not a very hard incentive. Everybody else around you is doing it. It feels kind of okay. You can rationalize it easier. Heroin is illegal. We know it's bad. These other things, they're soft addictions. Everybody say soft addictions. Soft addictions over time compound and hijack your thought process the same way hard addictions do. Hard addictions is just you're unconscious faster. Soft addictions, you're also unconscious. And there's a myriad of different soft addictions that you got to be aware of. And unless you actively rebel against it, it's gonna hijack your brain. Everybody say active rebellion. You gotta look strange to your regular friends. I look like a monk compared to regular people and a warrior at the same time. It's weird. So the reason being, and a weirdo at the same time. But that comes from actively rebelling against the things that slowly suck the living life out of you, like a leech.
Yeah, and what's happening, guys, is that if there's a certain fuel that you're getting energy from, what does the energy look like from scrolling bullshit, eating processed foods, smoking weed, just the usual shit that most people are hooked into? What kind of energy is that? What's it look like? It's this kind of, it's a disassociated, kind of like hiding from your trauma by staying in a disassociated state, never actually being present to the moment, never really having gratitude, always just kind of looking for the next thing and staying in this kind of derp state.
You get apathetic or you get frenetic. Say apathy and frenetic. Apathy and frenetic. You're apathetic or you're frenetic. And the problem with it is even with the softer addictions, you forget what the beauty of flow actually feels like. You completely forget it.
Yeah, do you guys remember the video that I shot at Yosemite when I was young called The Narrow Road? And I went, like that. If you guys remember that, that's what we're referring to. So then what happens is if you show that person in that derp state anything that is a higher spiritual reality, which then the corresponding external reality would be you're just fucking loaded and everything's fucking awesome and everything's great. If you show them that, then what winds up happening is they can't see it. So you give them the answers, but they can't see it. So once they've been scrolling all the time, smoking weed, all this bullshit, if you show them a dense marketing book, really, if you think about it, that dense marketing book, if it's a good one, books all have their virtues and strengths and weaknesses, but let's say that overall it's giving you a lot. Well, what's basically happening is that if you resonate at a higher level, you will be addicted on that book. You're hooked. You're like, I just want that book. I need to read it. Like you'll be addicted.
All you're saying is possibilities, money I can make, abundance, trips I could take. I'm becoming more of a savage. I'm becoming more knowledgeable. Everything is just raising. Your standards have changed. Now,
but by the way, too, when I would go out and I worked on social skills 4 hours a night, 7 days a week for several decades, when I did that, and I saw the possibilities of it, people would say, aren't you tired? How do you have that much dedication? All that I saw was that the more that I did it, the better content I had to produce for my viewers. So I was addicted on that. I was achieving better and better flow states. I was seeing more and more of what was possible. I was seeing more how to be at the cause and not the effect. But here was the big thing that got me addicted on socializing, okay? What I found was, early in my journey, I thought that you needed a million things to be successful. Now, you guys remember, I'm shooting this in 2025, but you guys remember back in 2015, who here remembers when I put out a video showing examples of me socializing, not even talking at all, and having the exact same results? You guys remember that? Yeah. So I got to the point that I could not even talk, and the exact same things would happen. Now, keep in mind, I then, around that year, it was around 2018 or so, I stopped posting real life examples due to everything that happened. Now, can you imagine what my results look like a decade past that, even though I'm not posting it? Can you imagine what that looks like? Look at the force behind my speaking and extrapolate that into my results on tradings that I get for clients, extrapolate that into my own results when I go out. It's absolutely insane, okay? So what starts to happen is you'll get to the point where your results are so ridiculous, but here's the two kind of corresponding piece of that. One is it becomes easier. Say that. It becomes easier.
It becomes easier.
The other is you're more at the cause, not the effect. Say that.
You're more at the cause, not the effect.
Yeah, so it's to the point that you don't even, you're just like, you have no anxiety, it's all a joke, you don't even talk, everything's easy, and you just radiate so much energy that people are drawn to you like a moth to a flame. The problem is you can't teach that at scale because if you're not in that energetic paradigm, then you go and try it and you can't do it. Now, I know when I say that, I sound like a wackadoodle who's just making an excuse for why you can't do it, but there's countless recordings of me doing this and clients doing it back when I was able to post it. So there's plenty of evidence that I could do it. People have been in my trainings, they'll tell you, it's really not that hard. You can't.
Because the average person's looking for low-hanging fruit, a technique. Give me a line, give me a gimmick. Teach me how I can do the non-talking thing from a gimmicky place. The reality is it's the overarching frame, it's the energies exuding, it's the sub-communications, it's the shifts that have happened mentally that create that vibe.
But you have to resonate with that much causality, and you have to resonate with that much ease. You guys hear that?
It changes how people experience you when you walk in a room. There's a different look in your eye. There's a groundedness, a weight to your presence. You walk across the dance floor and heads just turn. Has anybody had that experience before? Now, you probably had that experience when you got into flow at a high level, but there is a grounded version of that you can have in your everyday reality too.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize too that there's a lot of teachers out there that say things like this, and I hate it because they take something real and they give it a bad name. And they give it a bad name because they'll be like, oh, you're going to enter this vortex and blah, blah, blah. But they don't really show proof of it. And then what happens is it's also very, very resonant for women, those ideologies like manifestation or law of attraction. Because for most women, they resonate with just feeling really good. So that becomes resonant. And then obviously, if they're attractive and then they kind of raise their vibe, they get a bunch of chumps that buy them free stuff. And then some rich guy kind of puts them on and, stuff like that. They're like, wow, everything, I'm manifesting stuff, right? But for an ugly dude, obviously law of attraction is not necessarily you're not going to manifest the same as them, right? So, it's amazing how attractive women are just the best manifestors. So what happened, they're just incredible manifestors, guys. It's just a coincidence, right? So the thing is this, not guys trying to bang them, they're manifesting with the law of attraction, okay? I mean, it is the law of attraction, but it's not that attraction. So the thing is that it's, right? Law of, hey, they called it, right? So the thing, they should call it the law of guys that want to fuck you, but anyway. So the law of G, whatever, right? So the thing is though, is that, but again, like law of the, that's Dubai stuff, but anyway. So let me just show you something, okay? I want to point this out to you, okay? So I just want to show you some of our results, just so we can directly point it at something, so we're not just talking. So who here in this room has been out with me on a training, out to the club, and watched me do my thing? Put your hand up if that's you. Okay, so for those of you guys that have been out with me, can you confirm that I do the things I say? Because I used to be able to post them. And can you confirm that you then went and did some of the things that I say? Could you guys confirm that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, I definitely can. In terms of speaking, Owen, going out to the club myself, and then in a week matter of my public life, doing Uber or whatever, little situations, I'm going to the store, getting free things in return just from speaking, asking how they're doing, being genuine. Doing Lyft, Uber, I'm just driving, listening to music, the girls coming up, hey, can I sit in the front? Like, of course. Different lifestyle speaking,
Yeah, so you felt that shift?
For sure.
And then you've seen me do it?
Definitely. You, your videos, the person, your team, definitely, yes.
Okay, who else has been out with me that can talk about it? You had a positive experience that you might want to share. Anybody else? Here, one sec. So just to share it, okay? So how would you, so I'm saying all this crazy shit that I used to be able to post. So because I can't, could you share a little bit of like what it's like?
Yeah, absolutely. In the year that I've known and followed Owen, I've seen him do things that are just beyond description. He'll walk into social venues and just girls will just light up. People will be walking by like 20 years younger than him, and they'll turn without him even saying anything. He'll just like capture them in his force field, and they'll come up, they'll smile, they'll interact him. They'll bring up subjects and things to talk about with him. So it's literally an energetic presence.
And more important, how has your life changed?
My life has completely transformed. I've been in a long-term relationship, and that relationship has completely turned around. This woman is like all over me, and she's my ex-wife, by the way.
How about going out and socializing?
Going out and socializing. She lives in Japan, so I do have opportunities here. And it's just undescribable. I mean, I can talk to some of you guys one-on-one about my personal experiences, but the bottom line is that this stuff is real. I'm a very happy, content man with my life, and I owe so much to this man right here, Owen.
Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah. By the way, I'm not doing this just for testimonials. I'm doing it to make a point. So, like, if you can make a point for the people that, because I can't post it, what would you describe this as to people that don't get to see it?
This is the real deal. Owen changed my life dramatically. Thank God. I was in a dark place. Just like the energy that I've shifted into, I'm so grateful for. And Owen, like seeing him out, his eyes have this gravitational field that just pulls people in and makes them feel so safe and connected. Like everything that he's talking about is very real. I've seen it in real life. Sometimes it sounds like magic, but once I've started to experience it, I'm like, I feel like I'm a magician sometimes. Like there's levels to this shit. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Eric, you want to share anything? Okay. Maybe come around here for me? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've been following your stuff for about Yeah, I've been following your stuff for 5-ish years now, and just my experience alone, just doing, social interactions in general, I had nothing to go, base, no whatever, just seeing some videos, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and try, and then actually seeing you in person, I can just feel the energy, the resonance of people, just super locked in. I honestly felt so, dumbfounded how much you can just step in, and then the person just whoa, who's this? What's this? What's happening here? And then I just kind of disappear. I'm like, okay, I gotta study this.
And what have your results been like since we've been out?
Oh, dude, mentally, spiritually, everything. Honestly, I feel like a new person, a new man, and I'm only going down more my path because this is a spiritual journey, in my opinion, and I really feel like I've gotten so much more out of it than I can probably even process at this moment, honestly.
Thank you so much. Anybody else in here's been out with me? Who here's been out with me? I'm trying to see. Want to share?
Yeah, we've been together a bit. You did help me, I just want to share a short story. At some point, we were in a car together, moving places, and you told me, man, you're not getting results because you're just fucking boring, be funny or something. And that actually worked. I took some of your energy, implemented it, and people started getting drawn to me, and I've seen you doing the same thing. Of course, everybody knows Owen, so we come with some preconception of who you are. I didn't knew you in the beginning. But people who don't know you also get something from you. You do give energy to people, and it's mostly positive.
Yeah, and how has your transformation been as you've been going down that path? And are you seeing those moments open up for you?
Yeah, so for me it's very recent because I didn't knew about you a month ago. And so I've started doing shit I didn't believe I could do in the 10 years following this point. So I'm already very transformed. I think I'm going to continue to get better and better. So there are levels to this shit. I don't know which level I'm at, but I definitely know I can 100x more, and I'm way better. I feel way better already.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it. You want to share a bit of what you experienced? What's that? Anonymity? Okay, anonymity. All right. Awesome.
So by coincidence, I came across you while you were doing a training in a bar in West Hollywood, and what I saw was insane. So I came from a place that was very arrogant and judgmental on a lot of people, and you opened my eyes to being more humble and caring and in a way spiritual. There's a lot of depth to what you explain. I can't even paraphrase it here. Can I say an example of what I heard you say? So you're talking to these girls, and I was my buddy here, my brother, my best friend. And you were in a wheelchair at the time, which was insane. And I used to pride myself on my looks, right? It was all oh, I look pretty, feminine mindset, stupid shit, right? And it would work at times, right? You'd mog some people. But when stupid.
It looks maxed.
It looks maxed, right? Stupid shit. I saw in this wheelchair, a girl sat in the wheelchair, and she got up. You're like, well, are you aroused? And she was cracking up. And she was all over you. And I was like, Jesus Christ, if you were to say it out of line, not in touch with your true self, she would maybe find an average Joe creepy, right? But you said it in such a, just meant it with your soul, because you're so sure of yourself, and you get the best reaction, and ever since then, I've been completely different.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. And I love that he saw me in the wheelchair, too. So that was an amazing period. And I really believe that was God's plan for me to be in a wheelchair, so that I could do what I did in a wheelchair, both because there's people that are in wheelchairs. Because see, what'll happen is I'll tell people, because I didn't know if I was going to walk again. I was in a bad ski accident, very bad. And I remember I'll tell the story that I was in a wheelchair, and then I'll say the happy ending is that I walked again. Or no, I don't say it like that. I'll just say I walked again. And then everyone's like, oh, good, you walked again. No, you're missing the point. Had I never walked again, my life would have been relatively the same. You have to understand that. Even the idea that the happy ending is that I walked again, that is missing the fucking point. Because there's people that watch this stuff that will not walk again. I didn't know if I'd walk again. So I don't want to watch some teacher that goes, oh, and then I walked again, when I'm not going to walk again. I want to understand that even whether I walk or not, I'm going to make the same money, I'm going to have the same dating life, I'm going to have the same fun. Everything's going to be fucking awesome. Would you agree with that as being important yourself, with where you're coming from?
Yeah.
Right, do you want to hear the happy ending is, then I walked again?
No, that's not true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You're just not, that doesn't happen. It doesn't reflect anything on what you can and cannot do, how you get around, how you communicate, even if it takes a little longer, really has no bearing on your ability or what you're going to be able to do in life. The limitations you set are 99% done in your own head.
Amazing. Thank you, bro. That's fucking awesome. That's fucking amazing, brother. So, okay. So that's my point, right? Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. So I've been following Owen for 21 years. I heard his first audio lead magnet, his first marketing material.
Any of you were surprised.
When I walked in as the instructor, that I'm not going to link up to me pulling models. You're in the wrong headspace. You're in social conditioning. And I followed everybody who's ever taught social skills online, every confidence social coach ever. No one on the planet understands social skills better than this guy. He can do it, but even more important, no one on the planet can even begin to break it down in the detail that this guy can. So it's like there's people that can do it. They have swagger, the club promoters you always talk about. They can't fucking teach this shit. Even if they could get a certain percentage of your charisma, they can't teach and put in your brain. No one on the planet can do it better than him, and you've had a huge impact on my life, even probably more so than my own fucking parents. So
thank you,
thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Learned a lot from you over the years.
Thank you, man. I've learned a lot from you too. Yeah. So, guys, like usually when I do videos, I don't just like toss in a bunch of testimonials, but I felt that it was worth it because like I'm talking so much shit. I'm like, if your life sucks, it's because of some spiritual bad thing you did, and you're a bad boy. Like I'm saying a lot of crazy over the top shit here. Look, I don't have any proof of that. I'm just making the point is this. You guys have watched me go out and do this stuff, right? You guys have watched me do it in a wheelchair. You've seen me do it and not in a wheelchair. You've seen me also do millions of dollars in sales. I've done 9 figures in sales. Okay, I've done over $100 million in sales. So you've watched me do that. You guys have also watched that I've traveled the world doing events and events and events and events. I'm right now on, I don't know, it's like my 8th or 9th event in 2 months. My energy's great. You guys see where I'm going with this, right? You guys have watched me put out 4 or 5 hour videos right through, free associated, nothing planned. You guys have also watched me, if you've been at some of my events, do 5-day events where I'm talking 16 to 20 hours a day. Why do you guys think that I would go and do 16, 20-hour-a-day events and just keep going? What was I trying to learn by making it that long? I promise you that with everyone falling asleep at their tables, I wasn't helping my sales. I wasn't helping to review the events. There's people even sometimes mad that I ran it too long. So basically what it is that if you can tap into the right fuel, you'll enter into another paradigm. Then things will become easier to you, okay? So when you look at the Gospels, you look at the Bible, what is that actually, and I'm not trying to turn you into a Christian, but what is that saying to you? Okay, what are some messages in there? Who here could give me some messages from the Gospels that are resonant with this talk? Come on. Come on. Yep.
Yeah, the kingdom of God is within you. You are the source. You can be a channel for it.
Kingdom of God is within you. You can be a channel for it. What else? Amazing. What else? Yell it so that guys at home, they don't hear it on the mic as well as here. So yell it real good, okay?
Giving yourself.
Loud, come on, you got it. You got to stand up and go louder, okay?
Letting go of your
louder.
Letting go of yourself, giving yourself to Christ, and letting God guide you.
Yeah, and take out Christ because that blocks people's awareness. So rather, your higher power would be a more resonant message because otherwise they hit a wall there. Okay. All right. Okay. What else? What are some other messages?
Sermon on the Mount teaches me abundance. It doesn't matter how much I worry, I'm not gonna expand my life. It doesn't matter how much I spin or toil. There are it's just like the flowers, the animals, they neither spin or toil, but yet they're still alive.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, what else? Yell, you got to yell loud because at home they can't hear it.
What you're saying, paraphrasing, you're going down a narrow road. It's very...
the narrow road.
And this is the spiritual battle, beyond spiritual, and you are light, and I think of no weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are the light. You have to armor yourself. This is a battlefield, and not many people are willing to even go down this road because there's so much glamour, attraction, lust, fear, greed, as we're all saying.
Outstanding. I really like what you said there. Yep. Evan, thoughts?
What comes to mind is, I think it's called the Matthew principle. To he who has, more shall be given. He who has not, even what he has will be taken away.
Yeah, that's the law of abundance. He who has will be given more. He who has not, even that will be taken away. It's like when you got a girl you're trying to get and you get needy. Okay, keep going. Stand up.
I resonate with this because, for God's sake, I find joy in weakness and insults and hardship and persecutions and difficulties. So when I'm weak and find myself in situations where I'm weak, I become strong. So I like resonate with the spirit of easiness and the spirit of, flow and all that state that he's trying to teach us.
That's amazing. No, I appreciate it. So any more? I think we kind of nailed it. Okay. So look, it's things like, and again, do your own research on this. I'm not going to break it down for you. I'm not an authority on this. It's things like turning water into wine. What does turning water into wine mean?
Transform.
What does turning water into wine mean? It means you take a shit situation and you transform it, right? What does walking on water mean?
Failure.
Do it the possible.
Transcendence.
Yeah, now what happens when he loses his faith, when he sees Jesus walking on water? What happens? Starts to sink because he loses faith, right? What is the harder for a rich man to go to heaven, or to go to heaven than a camel going through the eye of a needle? What's that?
Materialism.
Materialism. What else? Ego, and more ego, attachment, and more attachment, finding yourself in the satanic entertainment system, et cetera, right?
Control muscle.
Yeah, it's also the control muscle rather than release, not coming from flow. What does the crucifixion represent? Among other things, this is a deep topic. Not going to say it in one call out. What could it represent that we're talking about here?
Sacrifice.
Okay, so when Jesus is crucified, is he angry?
No.
Okay, so he doesn't sink into the separation principle, and then in the death that he experiences, what happens? He is reborn. What's he reborn as? So he died of what and was reborn of what?
Spirit.
Dies in the body. What's he reborn as?
Spirit.
Eternal life, right? So look, dig into the spiritual text. Do you guys read the Tao Te Ching regularly? Okay, so I literally work out to that shit. Okay, there's a great version. Wayne Dyer, he's got they put binaural beats on it. I met Wayne Dyer before he died. He made a couple critical errors in his treatment, in my opinion. I'll spare you. But anyway, so the point being, yeah, he thought that this guy called John of God did a psychic cancer removal on him. But anyway, not the best idea. But regardless, amazing man. So read the Tao Te Ching. It talks about these principles, flow state principles, and read them often. Read them often. Read them on a regular basis. Read them often, okay? Let me keep going a little bit deeper. So what will happen is as you change, you will also begin to resonate with nature a lot. So you'll want to go with nature. So for me, let me give an example of how my life went. My life went like this. I don't want to just be in the city anymore. Fuck the city. I want to be in nature. So what I started doing was I even had a transformation where I realized I am addicted to my business. My business needs me. Most of you guys here, you're addicted on your business. Look, if you even have a fucking business, which you probably don't even have yet for a lot of you, then if you build it, you're addicted on your business because you're building something that feeds the parasite. So I realized, I'm like, no, I don't want to just build something to feed the parasite. And what happened was, rather than me, if you were to look in my search history, rather than me looking at a bunch of crap that's going to suck me in the city and make it where I can't leave, I'm looking at ways to take myself out of the business, have the business run itself so I can be in nature for 5 years, 80% of the time. Why? Because I don't resonate with being in the shit city. I like the city for certain things, meeting women, good restaurants, cool parties, mansions, things like that. But overall, I don't want to be here because my life is not defined by going to the fucking Grove. Okay, you guys know what that is, right? That's not the peak of my week. So I became resonant with I want to go travel and I want to be in nature. What are some things that I might have been getting from nature? What do you think?
Presence.
You become a lot more present. You get spiritual downloads. You get wisdom. This is the wisdom that we've been disconnected from. So by spending years in nature...
You need a much subtler palate to take it in. You know how people say they see a tree on psilocybin or mushrooms and like, wow, it's finally speaking to me? You can already have a version of that, especially if you're doing a creative project along the way as well.
Explain the palate a little bit more deeply, too.
When you are present, do things pop out at you? Can you see the details in everything? Can you see the micro expressions in a person? Can you look at a plant and all of a sudden you get almost like a little buzz in your brain by staring at an animal or a plant? Why? Because we come from nature. Say we come from nature. It's already inbuilt into the DNA. It's inbuilt into the software. It's inbuilt into the system. So when you unplug yourself from the rat race, the city, the whatever, it's a pattern interrupt on your mind. You're forced to attune yourself to a more subtle palette, and all of a sudden creativity comes to you. Some of my most creative moments have been in out in nature. Same with him. You'll see. He's got a 52 video long form series that'll come out I don't know when, but it'll come out sometime. But when it comes out, you're going to see like part of the reason he's able to tap in and channel ideas from paradigms that are way beyond the average person is because he's in nature, and when you're in that environment, it pulls the stimulation away. It's your own little personal vipassana, it's your own little personal meditation, but all of a sudden you do have subtle stimulus because of everything that's around you.
Yeah, something like Vipassana, which is a 10-day meditation retreat, that just gets you hyper present for several days. Nature also puts you in a mode like that, but as you're receiving the stimulus of God's creations. So you get stimulus both from watching incredible film, incredible media, incredible art, incredible buildings, and the cities does have that, right? Incredible food. Things that are built from presence also help you to connect into presence. But in nature, everything's built from God. So as a result of that, you also get more downloads just by looking in patterns of trees, patterns of leaves, patterns of mountains, ocean, fish, snorkeling, scuba diving, all that kind of stuff, skiing, all that. You also get insight from that. But the thing is, when Sid talked about the palette, here's what that means. You remember we said that the degree to which you've spiritually evolved, that will influence what it is that you're able to take in. So if you have a beautiful idea, and that beautiful idea has been put right in front of you, if the parasite that is there, which is basically a false you, it's not a real you, it's this weird flywheel that's running, and the flywheel wants to stay alive, and it has its own independent consciousness, it is going to block you from getting back to spirit, getting back to your essence, getting back to base level consciousness. So in effect, here's what happens, okay? In the same way that someone's a heroin addict, they're hooked on it, they can't get off, anything that you show them that will get them unaddicted, unless they hit rock bottom, they will push that away, they will hate it, they will actively attack it, right? Well, in the same way, you yourself, you look at a heroin junkie and you think you're different from them. You're actually further from God than a heroin addict in many cases. And the reason why that is because the subtleness of your addiction is harder to detect, and you're less likely to hit rock bottom. So as a result of that, you're actually kind of fucked. Ironically, the mediocrity leaves you kind of fucked. That doesn't mean go do heroin again. For the one idiot that would think that, do not go do heroin. Simply learn from the seminar, okay? So in effect, what happens is that, do you guys remember the flywheel, right? You know, H, and then it builds off its own momentum. If your version of life is looking at doom scrolling, little small trinkets, et cetera, you literally sold your soul for those small trinkets. So in the Bible, when Jesus, and again, this is not a Christian seminar, I'm just giving examples, okay, of older wisdom, ancient wisdom, okay? This is ancient wisdom. So what happens, for example, when you go give things to somebody, or maybe when you help an enemy, what is that doing when you go give something away? Like you have something, and then you give it away, or maybe you help an enemy or someone who hurt you. What is that doing? How does that interrupt that flywheel? Those are things taught in the Sermon on the Mount. How does that interrupt that flywheel? Why does Jesus say, if you brag about your giving, that's all you're going to get is the validation? So you have to do it between you and God and do it privately. Why is it that that's explained? What are we trying? What is that ancient wisdom trying to draw your attention to with giving, helping people? What is that doing?
Breaking the parasite.
Breaking ego. What else?
Killing the parasite.
Killing the parasite. Yep. What else?
Going into abundance.
Going into abundance. Yep. What else?
Spreading generosity.
Yeah, what it is recognizing that one life that animates that other person in you, which therefore means that you begin to identify with that essence. Because here's the key. The exact same essence that animates me animates you. So my awareness can sit within the ego. My awareness can sit within the physical body. Or my constellation of awareness can sit within the soul.
When your constellation of awareness is sitting within the soul or the essence, is that a giving paradigm or a taking paradigm? Giving. So what he's trying to say is when that flywheel begins to slow down because you start giving or you do something that's like completely, it's a pattern interrupt on yourself. When you are fueled by ego, you want to dominate your enemy and you try to help that person out, you try to help somebody out that wronged you. For what he's talking about here, does that all of a sudden like stick? It's like you have a wheel and you put a stick into the wheel. It like stops. Yeah. And based on that, you move from transaction to giving, from being somebody that's in a weird paradigm of their mind where you have an agenda to now there's actual something genuine coming through you. And that completely changes your communication, your interactions with in dating and everything, because the self is always shining through. Everybody say the self is always shining through. And then as you keep building on that, you keep getting into momentum with that. When that becomes your identity, then you start to begin to tap into things where you can be that individual who's not talking and people are still in reaction to you, and maybe they feel a good vibe coming from you. And at the core of everything in communication, it's all about vibe. Everybody say vibe. It's not about what you do, it's how you do it. It's not about what you do, it's who you are being as you are doing it. And because of that, it's pre-verbal. It comes before words. It's instinctual. So what he's really showing you here has a tremendous amount of practical benefits as well.
Yeah, it basically makes you savage socially and in your communication, and also makes it to where you make more cash. So ironically, you're a giver who's not concerned with those things, and yet, like we said, to the person who already has a lot, more is given. To the person in scarcity, that which they have, that little bit they do have, is actually taken away. Now, observe this, okay? So guys, if you give something to someone who isn't you, okay? So like, I mean, I'm doing this in front of you, so it doesn't count. Say that I say, okay, look, here, okay, take the money, okay? When I do that, what part of my brain, if I wasn't doing it in front of you for validation, if it was alone, what part of my brain, you can have it, you're fine, okay? You're okay, okay? What would that be? Just put it in your pocket, you're okay, okay? He thinks I has to give it back, okay? So what would that be activating in me if I do that for him, even though I did it publicly? Giving. Okay, so it's giving. What does that activate? Where, if I view you as different than me, then how does that feel, me giving that?
Because your presence into the world.
If I'm in ego and I give that to you, I go, oh shit, I just lost money. Got it? But if I am in essence and I give to you, I'm recognizing the force that animates you is the force that animates me. So by helping you, who am I helping? I'm helping myself, right? Now, what if you punch me and I don't get mad at you, and then I even help you because I believe you're demon possessed, I believe you're in the flywheel, and then I focus more on trying to deactivate the flywheel to shift the level of human consciousness rather than attacking you? Then what happens? What am I activating in me if I do that?
Transformation.
Okay, if I take my dick and a bunch of hand cream and I jack my dick off and I shoot a load all over my stomach, that's activating something, right? Okay, so now if I give, okay, that's activating your dick. Now it's activating these nuts. So if I give something to you, okay, so if I give something to you, okay, if I give something to you, what is that activating in me? Because again, my awareness can rest in my ego, my awareness can rest in my physical body, or my awareness can rest in my soul. So if I'm giving something to you, what is that telling myself about what I am? It's telling me I'm a soul. So it's shifting, just like if you jack your dick off and you paint the wall behind your head.
Yeah, what he's trying to say is it's telling yourself that you are something beyond your mind and your body. You are more than just your biology, which is selfish. The DNA is selfish. Anybody read The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins? DNA is selfish. Like, DNA is selfish.
DNA is selfish.
So your DNA is always causing you to screen. What am I getting out of a situation? How is this helping my survival, my money, my reproduction, everything? It's constantly screening for that. Once you get out of that, you are moved outside of your body and outside of the default network of your brain. Now you are tapping into something beyond that, which we call flow or source or whatever.
Okay, so say I do that, right? Then what's happening is I'm tapping into a higher part of my awareness, okay? Now what happens is when you do that, what are some things that happen? One thing you'll notice is that, and Eckhart Tolle describes it perfectly in the books Power of Now and New Earth, in his talks, and Stillness Speaks. So the book Stillness Speaks, how does it describe identifying as the witnessing consciousness? What happens to the mind when you go from identifying with the inner voice to the witness? What happens? Come on! What happens is you stop thinking. So how much thinking do you think Sid and I are doing when we're in front of a crowd like this? I'm not mic'd to speakers, my voice is booming, I don't need notes, I'm in a good vibe. How much thinking are we doing when we're up here?
When we say things become easier, and what we're going to tell you a lot this weekend is there's too much mental bandwidth being monopolized by the average person trying to be a speaker. We just feel a subtle good feeling in our body, we feel a good feeling in our brain. We're tapped in, and we allow the words to come out. Does that make sense? Totally different paradigm.
It becomes easy. You see that? So public speaking becomes easy. Ever seen it where my son Dylan came in the room in LA once, and then he just ripped the fucking seminars, like he crushed it, and he had more confidence at 11 than most adults have? Do you guys remember that? Who here saw the video of that? Put your hand up if you saw the video. Okay, so what happened there was my son, because he's not self-judging, he's not comparing, he's not really in his ego, he's just in his essence, because he's kind of been conditioned like that by his family. You know, plus I think he's gifted. So the point, I think he has certain gifts. So the point is that that gift that he has allows him just to come up to the front of the room, and he just starts creating, and it's effortless. So what's happening is people are coming up to the front trying to public speak, or they're going out to the bar and club trying to socialize, or they're trying to make money, and everything's just hard. And the cycle is they are in a lower frequency, energy is scarce, they can't even see opportunity in front of them. And then from that overarching paradigm, that overarching worldview, everything is in scarcity. So as a result, they're always in a taker mode. Because they're in a taker mode, they emanate a vibe of a black hole or having an agenda, to whatever the case, which then pushes people away, makes people less likely to do business with them, makes people less likely to be physically intimate with them, makes people less likely to resonate with them, makes business owners not want to do business with them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You'll be coming from a paradigm of force, where you'll be having to work tremendous amounts of volume in whatever your craft is to get tiny bits of results, which gives you very temporary relief from your mind, just to reinforce that same paradigm.
Yeah, so in other words, you get laid, and then finally you can be present for 23 minutes till you bust a nut, and then that's like the little pittance that you get. It's a puppy treat. It's the slave gruel. Okay, so you're going for slave gruel. This is all covered in the Gospels. This is covered in the Tao Te Ching. It's covered in ancient spiritual texts.
Problem is when you're used to just getting the dog treat from that grinding paradigm of force, not able to make it easy, then it reinforces that paradigm and that identity, and you keep going down the same path, same rut. Even if you get a ton of results later in life, was it actually worth it at that point?
Yeah, a couple key pieces too. Some people from that scarcity actually do manage to get results, and we've audited this, and here's what we've consistently seen. The ones who actually get the results, you can see a look in the eyes of evil right in their pupils. A couple examples, I'm going to be honest with you, would be club promoters. You can literally see the look of it. Like, I can know who, and that doesn't mean every club promoter is evil.
Are you a club promoter? Me? Yeah. Oh, okay, that's why he's looking around like, yeah.
Well, the thing is this, yeah, but I mean, you actually look like a great guy, but could you share that look in the eye that you might have seen from club promoters?
I mean, definitely a little bit more like.
Can you stand up and share?
Yeah, maybe like a little disconnected, like a little dead inside. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what I saw, because I deal with them every day. Right. So what I see is that if you talk about anything other than this narrow little bandwidth of what they resonate with, they tune you out. They have an evil look, and most of them are either on cocaine every day, they get a lot of sex, and between the sex and the coke and the validation, what winds up inevitably happening is they get to a place where very, very literally, they're getting so much of what they want that it actually initiates the flywheel, is what it does. So because it initiates the flywheel, that is why most club promoters have an evil look in the eye. So the thing is this, okay? Life is a balance. Should you learn the techniques and methods to get what you want? What do you think? Should you just let go of the wheel and then everything's going to come to you and you're just like a spiritual woo-woo person? Is that the answer to life, do you think? What do you think? No. Kind of leading you to the answer, okay? So life is a combination of learning the techniques and actually improving, okay? There are material things that you could do in the world that will make your life better. There's a reason that I study piles of marketing content.
And some of these transactional guys that have the quote-unquote evil look in the eye, because they are hooked on the physical, can be some of the best people in the world to learn technique from.
Amazing people.
Yeah.
From. I have learned a lot from weird psychos that just master the physical world. So this is not to say that you should ignore learning from all different sources, but rather, as you're learning, recognize that the purpose of you learning is that you can grow more and expand more. It's not just to get more. Do you guys see the difference there? Okay. It's to grow and expand more. So what do you guys think is a major advantage that I have or that Sid has over you guys is like a kind of hack that I did that allowed me to expand? It's a hack. What do you guys think? You want to come in, bro? Come on in. You're good. Yeah, I could let him in the back or the front. Come on in, boys. What is a major hack that we've done?
Releasing content for free and practicing hours and hours.
Yeah, what do you think that it does? Why do you think that I did free tours for years and years and years? What does that do? What do I get out of this?
The process of starting from the bottom, doing it on your own, and not recognition, not an agenda primarily. You're really studying it, getting the details right.
Okay, so let's say I do a free event, right? Now, there's a lot of theories on why I do the free events. Most people think it's an upsell funnel. But in reality, anyone who that shows their limited understanding of business. Me doing a speech like this is not an upsell funnel. I do a couple sales at free events, but I promise you, you'd make way more doing video sales letters, cold traffic. Do you see me doing cold traffic? Do you see me doing video sales letters? Do you see me doing most of the things that other marketers are doing? Or do you just see me doing a lot of this shit? So what I'm saying is, okay, so whenever someone says that, I'm like, oh, that's cute. You know nothing about marketing, but that's cute. Okay. So, okay, and by the way, when I'm older, I'm gonna do shit like that because I wanna build a fucking war machine, a metaphorical war machine to be clear, okay, in terms of expanding people's consciousness. And so I will do stuff like that. And then people will go, can you do the free tour again like you did? I'm like, look, I'm in a different phase of life. And that's when you'll see me really bank it. Now, I still banked it, but I banked it at a more healthy level. So the point that I'm saying is this: if I'm up here in a state like this for many hours, what's that doing for me?
Fulfilling you.
Okay, what is my mindset when I'm in front of a crowd like this? Or SIDS?
Give.
What is my psychology when I'm up here?
Give. Giving value.
Okay? Right? So I do a free tour, and then I do free videos. So I have a business. I'm not some fucking martyr, okay? I hate people that are fucking martyrs. And in some cases I don't, but usually they're incongruent and fake. But in some cases real. But I'm not a martyr. I'm not claiming that, okay? I'm not trying to get a pat on the head for this. But what I'm saying is, if I remain in this state for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and then I go out to a bar club and I socialize for hours and hours and hours and hours and fucking hours, and then I make videos of it and I try to help people, etc., etc., what does that do for me? Selfishly, I'm forced to be present and I'm forced to learn how to manage my energy, okay? So it's a path to mastery. So that shift in your state of consciousness, what it requires is a basic level understanding, then a path to mastery. And you need some kind of a path to mastery that allows you to sink into that space. So, in the same way that when I had my wheelchair and I was in severe pain, that allowed me to focus relentlessly on pain management for months because it really hurt. That gave me the time to practice, right? You can't take that away. I knew when that happened, this was going to be a big opportunity for me to learn how to be present and non-resistant. So in the same way, if I'm up here, I have a chance to practice, right? The problem is a lot of you guys never even have a chance to practice. And then you're stuck in this mode of a shit job, a shit paradigm, dog-eat treats, and that's where you're stuck. And then the whole system around it, from a lot of the modern medicine to big pharma to a lot of the big agri to the food, all that stuff, they give it to you because that is what your palate needs. So look, let's look at the thing here, right? If you're in a suppressed state all the time, big pharma is your friend, right? I'm not giving medical advice. I want to be clear. I'm not telling you what to do medically, okay? I'm not giving you medical advice. But as a personal opinion, not as a double-blind study, not medical advice, if someone's in a suppressed state, they probably need something pretty potent to stop all the illness coming from the suppressed state, okay? If someone's in a suppressed state, they love their alcohol and their weed because they're in a suppressed state. Do you guys think I like alcohol? You think I want to drink alcohol? Like, would that help my, would me doing weed help my state of consciousness? No. Would me doing weed help my high vibes? No. Okay, it'd be taking me down. So why is everyone hooked on weed? Like, the whole fucking state is hooked on weed. Why is that? Because they're at a lower state, so it pulls them up. It basically medicates them. It shuts the mind off. Same as alcohol, right? Same as cigarettes. When you're in a low state, you resonate with cigarettes. You also, if you don't like the baseline of how your body feels, then you like to doom scroll because it allows you to disassociate. Look, if you take something like, say you have an accident, you take fentanyl or ketamine or oxys or something like that, right? Is that a good feeling, taking ketamine or oxys or fentanyl? No, it's not. I'll tell you why. Because when I had my accident, they're like, when they did the surgery, they ripped my leg open, drilled it all together, all this stuff, like I have more metal in my leg than bone at this point. They're like, you've got to take oxy, you've got to take fentanyl, you've got to take ketamine. So I did oxy, fentanyl, and ketamine in 1 week. Quite the party. You want to know how I experienced that stuff? Boring as shit. Okay? It's just a disassociative. I found it boring. And then what I would do is I actually could be on that and I could make my brain present. And I had a celebrity client that week, and I remember I still kept coaching him. They'd have me on that, and I would just, for like a day or two, and I could just make my brain present and ignore it by rising above that. So you actually can rise above it. But what I'm trying to show you is that that disassociative feeling is only good when you don't enjoy your baseline reality. Then you have politicians that come in, and then they speak into the parasite. As a democracy, which is still the best system, but as a democracy, what winds up happening is we wind up voting in politicians that speak directly to the parasite. Anyone not speaking to the parasite probably can't get elected. The education system feeds the parasite. The food feeds the parasite. The entertainment feeds the parasite. Most people that live in LA have never even gone to the nature in California. Most people that live in LA are working really shitty jobs that they hate. Everyone's stuck in this low paradigm. The politicians come in, they vote them in. Big companies and big industries go create things that resonate with the parasite. As a result of that, they also purchase those things. So the elites get paid by creating junk. Politicians get elected by speaking junk. And then we all stay stuck in the lower paradigm. Then you try to show anybody anything. And the only way that you can do it is with that showing my son Skittles type of reality. And that's where we have to sit there for hours at a time analyzing things like, okay, if you're talking to a woman, how can you speak directly into her hypergamy? Or if you're doing a marketing piece, how do you speak directly into the ego? Because that's the only way that you can even reach somebody where they're at. That's literally the only way. And you can actively watch that when you show someone anything that would dissolve the parasite, you will see them tune out. You'll see that they don't resonate. And the only way that I have ever personally seen to reach them is by speaking to the parasite and then threading in anything that would wake them up. Or what you do is you say to them, hey, if you do this activity from a place of non-resistance or from a place of process orientation, if you do it, then you'll get the thing you want. Then they go do it, and if you've ever read the Bhagavad Gita, which is another spiritual text you should read excessively, what it says that we don't have a right to the fruit of the action, only the action itself. Well, if you tell the parasite, hey, you'll get what you want if you do this dumb shit, they go do it, they get present, and they go, wait a minute, holy shit, I got present. Or maybe you give a path to mastery where what will happen is as you're trying to create something, you can't get there from the paradigm that you're in, and it forces you to elevate paradigms because you don't have a choice, right? It's the narrow road. You're trying to go through this narrow road, but you can't get everything through. So what winds up happening is you're trying to go through the narrow road, you can't get there, so only that which is real in you can get through. All this other shit peels off, and you push through. So then what I've personally seen is that either a path to mastery, or by tricking the person, or by speaking into the parasite, then you can get them to wake up. But if you show somebody something direct that would lead to their own enlightenment, they will hide from it. They will run from it. And that is why even a homeless person, if you're coming from a high paradigm, will throw a fucking banana at you or throw a piece of their own shit at you because they fucking hate you. Again, what you see in the Bible, you have to be a Christian. What do people say about Jesus when they decide if they're going to crucify him? Do you guys remember that part?
Give us Barabbas.
Okay, you guys remember that? Give us Barabbas, okay? They hate him specifically because he would wake them up. When Jesus is also going and curing people, right? Make the blind man see. What does that mean, make the blind man see? You heard all this shit and you still couldn't see it, huh? That's exactly what I'm telling you. What does it mean when it says in the Bible, make the blind man see?
Wake up.
What does it mean? Wake up, okay? So, right, dispelling demons, et cetera, right? So read it with a little bit more depth than just a fucking story, okay? Wake up! Wake up! And actually read it with a little bit more depth. Not like, oh, this is like a fairy tale, a story. Okay, actually look at what you're seeing in the fucking thing, and then you'll get something more out of it, okay? This is ancient wisdom that our society is based off of. But here's what's funny. You can tell people to read that, they won't even fucking look at it because they know that it would wake them up. You tell them, go read, people say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Okay, cool, go read the Tao Te Ching. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, but they'll look at fucking TikTok. Hey, maybe go read the Gospels. Oh, I'll do it later. Hey, go read that marketing book. Oh, I'll do it later. Hey, maybe go read that thing on nutrition. I'll do it later, right? Everything that would actually help you, it's always later, 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 later. You go to try to read it, you will fucking zone out. You'll zone out. But in reality, it is, why do you guys think it's so easy to be rich in a society like this? It's so fucking easy. Why do you think that is? It's also easy to have a great dating life in a reality like this. Why? Okay, you see guys saying they can't get laid, and you live in, like, what is it? What wave of feminism are we in now, Casey? Is it, millionth wave feminism? You live in like millionth wave feminism where girls are told to high five each other if they get dick down. And you couldn't get a girl when they high five each other. You got dick down, yay! And you couldn't figure out how to meet a girl? Okay? What is that? Okay, you're living in a softened up consumer culture where people are basically like, it's almost like the population's like a Wagyu cow being massaged, getting ready to get eaten. Okay? You live in a culture where people are so dumbed down that, and so addicted on the parasite that they will do anything to just stay in consumer culture. And yet you couldn't get rich? You could. The environment has been built so that the mass public is mentally retarded and is consumer drones. In a population of third wave feminism where women are taught to high five each other when they get dick down, and you live in a population of consumer retarded drones that have no memory, that you can literally put on house arrest for 2 years and will forget about it within a day. They just forget. It's like, lock them up. Poison them, put out this shit, lock them up, and give them some bullshit on the end of them to unlock them, okay? And you can do that, and no one does anything. Anything. They just forget. That is the degree to which the business environment that you're in, okay? You have internet marketing. You have a highly unethical AI mark of the beast system that is literally tracking people and hearing what everybody's talking about in the privacy of their own home, creating advertising systems that allow you to have some random niche. You don't need to set up a Walmart. You don't need to set up a steel mill. You don't need to set up a library. You don't need to have inventory. You don't need inventory. You don't need to rent a facility. You don't need any money for investment. It's the easiest business environment in all human history for somebody starting. You're in a mark of the beast AI system of dumbed down consumer retards who literally have no brain at all. You don't even need to have fucking inventory. You can study communication and sales copy within 6 months, but yet you can't do that, and you also can't even get a dating life in like millionth, trillionth wave where they're high-fiving each other to get dick down by the 900th guy, and you couldn't figure that out. And no one's dating anymore because everyone's so dumbed down they can't even do a cold approach. So they're just like, male loneliness epidemic, I'm alone, I'm depressed, because of the dumbing down. That is how dumbed down everybody is. And you still couldn't figure it out, not realizing that you're completely enslaved. So why, now here's the thing though, it's a paradox, right? Why is it that you're so enslaved? Why? Why is it so hard to break out of this? Why? If the parasite's running you, you lack the base level awareness to even break out of it. So there's no consciousness there to break out. There's no consciousness there to break out. There's no proactivity with which to break out. Okay? The enemies of your country do not need to send boots on the ground to defeat you. They can mimetically enslave you. They can use information warfare to destroy the country from within, right? Think of any animal. An animal has, what are the threats an animal has? What are the threats? A predator, right? What else other than a predator? Disease. That would be like a bacteria, an infection, or rot. What else did it have? Competitors, right? Yeah, so you have predators, like a fucking animal can fucking eat you. You have a competitor. Okay, you have a predator that basically will eat you. You have competitors for the same resources. What is the other thing that can get you? Rot, just like cancer, rot, disease, right? What is the easiest way to destroy a country? Boots on the ground, like World War II style? That's not efficient. You saw Stalingrad? Not efficient. What's the easier way? What's the easier way? Rots. 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 Festering rots that every one of you in this room and me are subject to. You have rots on you. You're covered in cancer and rots. And it's intentional. Okay? It's intentional. So what you'll realize over time is that high vibe energy has its own intelligence. Low vibe energy has its own intelligence. I'm gleaming over that. That would deserve a 5-hour talk at minimum with examples and proof. I'm going to gleam over it because I can't do that every talk. Look up my other stuff. Look up things other than my stuff. But what I tell you is at the base, the spider at the middle of the web is that demonic energy. Is that energy that has its own intelligence, which then goes into people's brain. They become an agent for that energy. They spread it. That spreads around. And then as society gets more and more and more fucked, now you see a society where people are dumbed down. The women hate the guys hate the girls. Hypergamy is just fucking rampant. People are operating from base level ego, from physical intelligence. They're not awake. You can see a dead body on the side of the fucking street. People won't even go and try to do anything. I mean, we could do videos about this shit. Like, I could pretend I'm dead and just watch how many people walk by and step over me. And you can see that. Look up things like the Milgram experiment, where you watch how people will literally kill each other if they're told to do so by someone in a white lab coat. And that's where we're at. And yet, even in a dumbed down environment, which is intended so that the elites can get maximally paid by softening you up, you still couldn't figure it out what to do. Okay? The easiest environment in which to get laid in human history, and there's a male loneliness epidemic. The easiest environment in which to be a millionaire in human history, but people can't figure out how to get out of it. Why? Because the prison is in the mind. So if you're eating foods that deplete attention span, what's that start to do to your consciousness? Right? Is the average piece of food that you're eating adding to or depleting your attention span? Depleting. Okay, how about the doom scrolling? What's that doing to your attention span? Depleting. Okay, how about the paradigms within the doom scrolling? Okay, if you look up what women are looking at, it's basically men ain't shit, go get fucked and use them. And then from there, the couple that actually talk about traditional relationships is like how to fleece men maximally if you're gonna let these degenerate providers fuck you. And that's most of what's in there too, right? So you have people against each other, you have political division, and all that. And within that environment, you're supposed to create this little fucking bubble. And in that little bubble, you're trying to find some form of clarity so that you can actually go and take action. And if you take action, what happens? You get a lot of energy, you've got a lot of vitality, a lot of stamina, dating gets easy, money gets easy, being happy gets easy, being healthy gets easy. You're at the cause, not the effect.
And you just realize how easy it actually is. 8 billion people on the planet, your business is already in your pocket. You can be the niche of the niche of the niche and make a lot of money. Huge markets out there. All you gotta do, LLC, bank account, payment processor, communication skills. Done.
So what do you guys think are some cracks?
So that being said, what does that mean? When does change happen? Now. Everybody say now. You can start that process today if you really wanted to. But the parasite thing he's talking about too, what paradigm does that keep us in? I'll be happy when. Everybody say I'll be happy when. Distant future, I'm complacent now. I can't see the actions I would take that would fill my bank account with money today. You won't be able to see those actions with the sludge on the brain. It's like molasses just pulled over everybody's brains. But those who can compete in this world are those who are focused. Focus is what's going to outcompete. Everybody say focus. Focus. And individuals that have an active rebellion against the sludge that comes over our brain, they can curate in an environment where it's normal to have people who are clear-eyed, who aren't a product of the sludge, other people that actually are getting results. By osmosis, you are now slowly addicting yourself to the correct energy.
So let's talk cracks in the dam then, okay? Let me show you a couple things. So a lot of the challenge with doing the things that we're telling you to do here is where do you start? A lot of you guys feel that. Where do you start, right? And what I would say is this. There's different sort of entry points into the psychology that it is that I'm trying to show you here. So where do you start? Let me show you, I'm going to show you my path of how I started, and then you can kind of give me a sense of what you want your path to be. Let me show you what I did, okay? So why is it that most people are not good at F1 racing? Why? Anyone here good at F1 racing? Nope. No. Anyone here good at polo? Any good polo players? Why? What's it cost to even play polo per year? A lot. What's it cost to be an F1 racer? It's a lot, right?
It's not about the money, it's about the ability too.
I'd say that like some of us would be better at riding a horse with a mallet than others, but I'd also say that.
Talking about the car, like even if I'm a millionaire, like 90% of the people don't have the balls to do like that.
Yeah, I can see that, right? So there's skill, but there's also lack of access to even find out if you had skill. Because even if you sucked, you'd still be a better racer than 99.9% of people if you could just race. So you don't have access, right? So for many of you, you don't have access to leadership positions. You don't have a niche. You don't have a path to mastery. You don't know where to start. So you're kind of just like, you go to work, and then you come home, and then you say to yourself, well, how do I give a diversion? I've got 4 hours off. How do I fill that up? I'm fucking bored. I don't know how to fill it up. I don't understand this path to mastery thing. I don't really have something. So you've got to think to yourself, how could you actually get a path to mastery? That'd be one of them. How do you get to be a leader? How do you get the chance to have flow state experiences so that you can begin to shift this? Here's what I would say. In every single generation, there's going to be 1 or 2 hustles that have no gatekeepers. So how do most people get ultra rich? Maybe you've got a guy with 100 million. He invests 10 million, right investment. Next thing you know, he's got 110 million, right? He invests 10 million, doubles it. Now he's got 110 million. Maybe he made $10 million in 5 months if he just picked the right stock and it went up. How long would it take the average broke person to make $10 million compared to a rich person that can invest and has seed money? Multiple lifetimes compared to a day if they had the right investment, right? Now, one thing you learn about rich people is when you drive a Lamborghini, is that just meant to be an expense? What does a Lamborghini do? I'm just gonna give you examples. What does a Lamborghini do? Why do you buy a Lamborghini and make money off it?
Gives you status.
You get status. So let's say that you're in a Lamborghini, and let's say that you are driving down the street and another person has a Lamborghini. Is that maybe a conversation starter? Yes. Okay, so why do you, look, Lamborghinis are not even good cars. They're actually high maintenance, they're kind of annoying. What is the point of having a Lamborghini? It's just so that other high-end car drivers out there will pull over and talk to you so that you can network, okay? This watch here.
We call that a qualifier, but it's a qualifier. Qualifier. Watches, cars.
What is this thing here? Look, it's a watch that looks like it's from fucking Nordstrom's, right? What does this watch here do for, what happens when I wear this? Do girls know what this is? No. Most of you don't, none of even you know what this is. Why do you wear an expensive watch? What does that do?
Person of high value is going to recognize it.
Okay, so the way it works with watches, like AP, Patek, Richard Mille, like Richard Mille looks like a G-Shock, right? Patek looks like a Tissot, right? Like a PRX, right? So, this watch here looks like it's from Macy's. So other rich people know what those watches are. So if you're wearing a Patek or an AP, a Rolex, stuff like that, other rich people come up to you and they go, oh, cool, you got the Nautilus. Oh, cool, you got the Royal Oak. Oh, you got the RM72. Wow, man. It's such a beautiful piece. Bro, it just looks like it's a G-Shock. Looks like a PRX. But the point is, literally, look up Royal Oak, look up PRX, they're the exact fucking same. But what happens is that it's meant to go under the radar so that as you go out, other rich people come up to you. So because rich people come up to me, what do I often do if an ultra rich guy comes up to me when I'm wearing a watch? What am I gonna do with that guy? Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna close him on a 6-figure program within about 15 minutes. I'm probably gonna meet all his connections. I'm probably gonna get invited over to his house. I'm gonna meet the girls that he knows. I'm gonna hear stock tips. I'm gonna hear investment tips. I'm gonna learn from him. I'm also just gonna pick up off his energy. So what happens is that the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. There's networking groups. Joe Polish would have this group called the 25K group, and he had another group called the 100K group. Why do you want to go and why does he just call it the 25K group? You pay 25K, he doesn't even do very much. He just charges everyone 25K. What is he actually giving you by making a room that everyone had to pay 25K? What's he giving you? Okay, so remember, he's not going to teach you shit. It's like, imagine I said to you guys, you're going to pay me 25K, and then I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to leave you all in a room.
Access. Filter. Network.
I'm saving you time from dealing with the riffraff. So it's actually, and time is money, right? So he has another group called the 100K group. It's there's nothing taught in the 25K group, and there's also even less taught in the 100K group. So what is the 100K group? What is it? What is it? What is it? It just means, okay, everybody here can drop 100K like it's nothing. What is a watch or Lambo or mansion? It's just a filter. It just says, all y'all that can't get a 100K watch, get the fuck out of here. So all that you're trying to do is get in rooms of people that are doing things, right? And then you want to pick up on their spiritual energy. You want to, in some cases, some of them are evil, but in some cases, because the ones that are evil are more like the club promoter types that kind of got what they wanted, turned them dark. But, there's also people that did the right way. So you're getting around better energy, et cetera, right? Well, in every single generation, there has to be a crack in the dam somewhere. So I can do the speech, we put out a video, and in 100 years, what I'm saying will no longer be applicable because it's only applicable at certain times. What were some of the cracks in the dam that we saw in this generation where you get easy-ass money? Social media. I'd say the biggest is social media. What else was there? Crypto. Why crypto? There's crazy fucking swings on it. There's a community. They did it themselves. They're like, Bitcoin is the future, Bitcoin, right? And then it shoots up. But you got to get it when it's newer in the chain. So you have to be forward thinking. Nothing's stopping you from being forward thinking, from going down different rabbit holes. Look, I've had clients that would have like Hexcoin. Now Hexcoin eventually crashed. But I had clients that became like billionaires from fucking Richard Hart and Hexcoin and Pulsecoin and all this different shit or whatever it was because it shot up. So you'd see random people that had very little business skills that got mega rich off of it, okay? Here's the other one, okay? The main key to getting money is know what? Gatekeepers. Say it loud. No gatekeepers. Say that louder. No other gatekeepers. It's never loud enough. Say it again. No gatekeepers. In other words, there's no one that can fucking stop you, okay? You try to be an actor, good luck. There's entire networks you have to penetrate. You're unlikely to become an actor, right? There's gatekeepers. You need to have a Harvard degree that's going to cost you $500,000. There's gatekeepers. You're not getting in there. You're not allowed there. There is a vested interest to keep you out of there. You're not getting in. It's unlikely. So the number one thing is you got to say to yourself, you have to identify a place where there's no what? Gatekeeper. Okay, so in other words, you can improve your skill set. And then it's, say the word democratic. Meritocratic. Okay, so, and then I'd say another one, say a field of dunces. Okay, so a niche of dunces.
You want to have it meritocratic so that your actual skill gives you results. Your actual skill is valued. It's actually the quality that you bring to the table. Industry of dunces, the market is the most important thing. Everybody say the market. If you choose the right market, it will carry you no matter how dumb you are. And you choose the wrong market, you can be a great executor, you can be a great entrepreneur. You are fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, try being an NBA player, right? Regardless of the intelligence level of athletes, they are not, as physical specimens, they are not dunces. Some of them are also intellectually very smart, right? So you're dealing with people that are ultra, ultra, ultra competitive. You're unlikely to be successful. You're a girl, you try to be a model. Do you guys know how many like almost models live in LA? Yeah. They're like the almost model. They're like, I'm a model. Like, what campaigns have you booked?
Instagram model.
It's called an Instagram model, right? So it's an almost model. It's all these girls that are almost going to become mega millionaires. They're almost as hot. In fact, you might argue they are as hot. It's just a different look. But the point is they're not going to make it within that niche. So you don't want to pick a niche that's hard, okay? You want to pick something that you can actually work at, and the more work that you put in, the more success that you can get. In my personal view, here's how I can tell if someone's serious in life, okay? The first thing I say is, do you have condoms on you? I say that because if you're a man and you're walking around without condoms, that means that either A, you assume that you're never going to meet a girl when you're out, or B, that you're going to raw dog her, and then you're going to have God knows what happens if you keep that habit up, okay? So either way, you're self-destructive, okay? So I know that you're not serious if you don't have condoms on you. How many of you here can pull condoms out and put their hands in the air and show condoms right now? One, so there's like 5 people in this room that are actually serious, like, wow, I might meet somebody today. Everybody else assumes that you won't meet somebody. So I know that you're not serious.
Everybody else raw dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll see how far that gets you. So then, okay, talk about addicted to hell. Short period of heaven, addicted to hell. It's like the, deal with the devil. Feels good on the front end, pain on the back end. Okay, so then from there, the next thing that I check to see if people are serious is if I look at their social media. Here's why. Because the chances of you meeting somebody out, having a good interaction, and then, maybe you talk for 10 or 20 minutes, right? And then you contact them on text message versus I contact them on social media that has a whole bunch of cool things about my life. And also, here's the other key with social media, it's feeding them stories about you without even you having to reach out, so you don't even look needy. If I look at your social media, I can tell immediately if you're actually planning to meet somebody when you're out, because if your social media sucks, that just tells me, honestly, that you're not serious. Another way that, it shows you're not serious, because it's like, well, I can meet a super cool guy to network with, I can meet a girl, but then it's like, well, what are you gonna invite me to, right? Like high-level guys that you network with also need a cool invite. So if I were to ask you guys in this room, like, who here has a really cool invite that if you met a guy or a female entrepreneur of some kind that you want to network with has a really cool invitation right off the dome, so you don't need to think about what to invite them to? Who here has a really cool invite? Put your hand up if you have that. What's your invite?
Taco Tuesdays with Stevie Mackey.
Taco Tuesdays with Stevie Mackey? Do you have like a group of like attractive women that come out with you?
Yeah.
Okay, like good ones?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So it's not just the Stevie Mackey, it's the women really, right? Yeah. Okay, so you meet that cool guy out that you want to network with. You say, hey, come to Taco Tuesday. He's probably going to flake, but he might watch the story to kind of vibe out what it looked like. What's he going to see?
Exactly. He's going to see the best musicians in the world playing.
But remember, he can get access to musicians, but what else?
With all the chicks.
With all the girls, right? Yeah, and what?
At our table.
At a table, right? So now, how many of you would take an invite to that? 98% of you would take an invite to that, right? So, you want to have some kind of a thing to invite people to. If you don't have that, I know that you're not serious. So now here, remember the heaven or hell concept, right? Think of all the time that you wasted on dumb shit when you could have been building out your social media. Think of all the time that you wasted on dumb shit when you could have been building out a cool invite to invite people to. Do you guys know the cool thing about having a good social media and a cool invite? You could meet a girl out who's not even attracted to you. She could, which in my case is most of the time, I look like I'm fucking a combination of sand and a dwarf. So what happens is this, okay? So if I look at your social media, is it actually prepared? Did you use your time to build that out? Or did you use your time to dick around? You see where I'm going with this? So it shows me if you're serious. So do you have condoms? Do you have a cool social media? Do you have a cool invite? Now the next thing I'm gonna ask you is this. If you're serious about making money, here's a couple things that I want to point out, okay? If I ask you, is there millions of dollars in free shit in California that you could go do? That's awesome. Yeah. What are some examples of things that are worth millions right here that you don't need any fucking money that you could go do right now? Yosemite. What's that? Yosemite National Park is world class. People flying from all around the world. It's 5 hours from here. What else?
Griffith Observatory.
Griffith Observatory is worth God knows what. Super cool. What else?
The Getty.
The Getty. Amazing. What else?
Temescal Canyon.
Temescal Canyon is great. What else?
Hollywood sign.
Hollywood sign. Great. What else, right? So the thing is, and the one I always give the example of is the biggest tree in the world 3 hours from us. So, it's General Sherman in Sequoia National Park, biggest tree in the world by volume. So look, you'll say, I want to be rich. Well, why do you want to be rich? I want to go on a yacht. You already have access to a yacht. For about $50, you could go take a yacht to Catalina Island completely for free. So you're saying you want to be rich, but you don't even have a taste for the things that would make you rich. So you're lying because you're in the parasitic reality. If you were not in the parasitic reality, you'd be like, man, I want to go take a boat out to Catalina Island. Guys, I got to be honest with you. Like the quality of experience of owning your own boat and going to a private island versus going on the public big yacht to Catalina, I might argue that obviously the private ones is a cooler thing to invite someone onto for status and prestige. But as far as raw fun, I love going to Catalina Island when there's people there. I actually went to Catalina Island with my ex-girlfriend, Bia, and I remember her and I were there in winter. Nobody was on the boat, and the island was empty. You think that was fun? Because we went in winter. Yeah. Sucked. Super weird.
My mentor, Dan Pena, used to say the 2 happiest days of my life were the day I bought my big boat and the day I sold it. Because the maintenance, everything, like you don't expect these things to be like a headache. Some of these things are a headache.
I always have people, I live in a big mansion in the Hollywood Hills. I always have people living with me. And sometimes girls will be like, oh, do you have like roommates? I'm like, listen, like, do you know how weird it is to be up in the top of a giant hill alone in a giant echoing house? I mean, talk about induced schizophrenia. Like I've been up there alone on like a rainy night the top of that hill. I'm like, hello, Mr. House. It's just me and you. Like, just, how you doing, House? Right? Like, it's weird as fuck. I don't want to be up there by myself. Especially don't want to be up there with just a girl who can like gaslight you in solitude. So obviously I like having friends, right? I'm kidding. But like, I'm not living up here alone with you. So the thing is this, right? Like, yeah, it's fun to have friends there. So literally you could have a better quality experience on a $50 Catalina boat ride than having a private boat, but you say that you want to be rich. That tells me that you're not serious. If I ask you what are the last marketing books that you read, and if I said, not only can you tell me last marketing books you read, but can you give me a book report? If you can't give me that, I know that you're not serious. If you can't break down the works of Dan Kennedy, John Carlton, Alex Ramosi, like people that are there to help you get rich, if you can't break that down, I view that as spiritual enslavement. Because what were you doing with all that time? All that time went somewhere. Where'd it go? It went into this fucking satanic cock-sucking worship where you just sit there going, distraction, diversion, getting away from my syrupy fucking brain, et cetera, et cetera. You're not actually serious. So see, from day one, when I was in this niche, from day one, I knew I want to have freedom. I want to go travel. I want to have a great dating life. I want to have fun. I want to lead the niche. I understood all that. I resonated with that at the most profound level. I studied internet marketing 24/7, public speaking 24/7, social skills 24/7. I traveled, I met people, I met mentors. I went all out because I fucking loved it. And so if you look at my life, it's just this blur of really good sex, really, really too good of restaurants. That's a very expensive Potbelly. World travel, out in nature. My children have been to almost every major city in the US. They've been to almost every major museum, almost every major zoo, almost every major aquarium. They've done tours, and they do private historical tours of every single city. They've been to almost every single national park, almost every single ski hill. I mean, we've just beaten the shit out of this place, okay? We beat the shit out of it. When I'm up in a private plane up in Denali with my whole family and my friends, and I paid for all of it, and we're just flying around and like landing in the fucking mountain, that's the manifestation of what you might call heaven. It kind of looks like heaven. And when you feel good in your own body, you want to go do that shit. You want to. So you don't complain about people. You don't shit. Look, people come to me, they shit talk, right? They're like, I want to shit talk. And I'm like, okay, let's get this money. Right? Like, I want to complain. It's like, let's get this money. I'm mad about this. It's like, why don't we go make a video about it? This person offended me. It's like, why don't we joke around? Remember, it's not just about getting money. It's also about joking around. What is joking around? It means you're enjoying the moment. You're actually getting value out of that moment. You're milking. Because remember, like, you could go make money, but what's the point? Well, to be happy, right? And to provide for the people you love. And to have experiences to expand. And to expand by the process. But you should also be able to laugh when you're just dicking around with your friends. And if you can't laugh when you're dicking around with your friends, you're not milking that moment. You can, look, for most of you guys, you're so far off creating the reality that you think you're going to get, that all that reality is a way to not be present. I'm going to go get money, but then you don't even go see Sequoia. So by going to see Sequoia or going to Catalina, you would begin to shift your resonance, because here's what would happen, okay? Let me make a prediction. You'd walk out of the seminar, you'd go book your ticket to Catalina, okay? Maybe do a day trip. It'd be cheap. The whole way there, you'd feel yourself want to look at your phone. The whole way there, you'd find yourself complaining. Then when you get there, you'd find yourself worrying about the same shit, talking about the same bullshit. And you know what you'd realize? Repeat this after me, it's a cliche. Wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. And what that fundamentally means is, wherever you go, there you are. That same spiritual elevation or non-elevation that you're in, that travels with you. So, you're thinking, oh, if I finally got laid, I'd feel good. It provides 20, 30 minutes of relief through a condom, or not, if you're dumb. And then what happens is then you go back to baseline consciousness. You get that good restaurant, you eat, and then you go back to baseline consciousness. Maybe you get some money, you spend it, then you go back to baseline consciousness. Maybe you get a new TV, you ooh and ah over it for maybe 48 hours to a week, then that TV becomes normal. One of my favorite video games, Horizon Zero Dawn. And I remember I played it on 1080 TV. It was maybe a 55-inch TV. And then I went and I bought a 77-inch 4K TV. And for about a week, I played Horizon on it. I was like, this looks amazing. I couldn't stop looking at it. Then I got bored of it. Then it became normal. And then later, I saw Horizon on a 1080 TV. And rather than oohing and awing over the new 4K one, I just thought the 1080 looked like shit. So we just adapt to whatever benefit we get. Even the new house, for a week, like you go in the new house, you're going, oh my God, this house is so big, it's so good. Later, it just becomes an even bigger bill, and you don't give a shit, and it's just a new baseline. So minimalism can actually be quite effective. You don't wind up artificially pumping your baseline, and then, you know, like they say in Fight Club, the things you own, what? Own you. So, you know, it's funny how that works, right? So for me, what it was I wanted my life to be fun. Now, here's what was interesting. I'll show you guys some really cool shit here, okay? In my niche coming up, it was built mostly on forums. And almost the entire time on the forums, teachers were all calling the other teachers con artists. This was nonstop, okay? And they do it on videos too later. You'll see videos of it, right? And they all start shit-talking each other, calling each other fake gurus, and just talking shit, okay? Now, I can remember that would happen to me a lot, and then I got the tsunami of it in the book, The Game by Neil Strauss. So that would happen to me a lot. Now, what I felt happening when this occurred was I would want to respond. I'd want to respond. And I talked to different mentors about it, and they said, Owen, if you can just resist responding and just focus on work, you will give the ultimate response, which is being a multimillionaire and having an awesome life and having the biggest company. That was hard to do. Do you want to know why it was actually hard to not respond? Want to know why? Because the negativity in me was resonant with the shit talk. It was resonant. So I resonated spiritually with the response. I wanted to respond. So I'd want to. It would suck me in. I was drawn to it. Like how a stripper is drawn to a bunch of degeneracy, in many cases, not all cases. Like how a homeless person is drawn to live in a cardboard box, I felt a draw to respond. Especially the Neil book. My God, I want to respond to that shit. I didn't respond to that book for well over a decade. And my only response was, I didn't respond so I could grow my business. So imagine that degree of shit talk and I didn't respond. What did that do for me when I said, I'm just going to build my business? I'm not going to answer anybody. I'm just going to build my business. People would say what I do is fake. I'm just going to go record real life social interaction footage and post it back when I could. What did that do for me? What did it do? Guys, if you're not answering, it's because you're in hell. What did it do? I diverted that energy, and that energy was attracted to responding. But I knew that if I responded, that what it would do is it would trigger them to make a response. They would make a response where they would deliberately misinterpret my response. They would do a straw man argument on what I said, make it not what I'm actually saying, and make it look weird. They'd say it to me. I would have a need to be understood and have approval, so then I would respond to them. They would then get a kick of low vibe energy from that, parasitic energy. It creates that feeling of separation. And then I'd go back and forth and we'd become resonant, right? And you can actually see coaches in my niche that all they do is shit talk each other all day compulsively.
And then when it happens to you, you feel this reactive impulse in your body that you want to go with, and you got to resist that urge. What he's also saying is that winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. So all that time you have, all that time, energy, focus that you have, redirect it towards the things that will actually make your life better. And in the end, if you're on your path, you can outcompete them anyway, which is what happened in this case.
You guys see how that works? Look at what I did, okay? I'm being shit-talked. There's people even with, now by the way, there was people even within my company that were troublemakers. Why did I attract shit-talkers, and why did I attract troublemakers even within my own business? Because that's where I was at. I attracted because ultimately people would target me for that because spiritually they could sense that that's where I'm at. They could feel the opening. It's like how a narcissist targets the codependent. They can feel the opening, okay? You know, narcissist targets an empath, so to speak. So there was that hole in me of the lower vibe that I was at. And if I had responded, who would that have been about? Who would that be about? You. But what if I just keep adding value for clients and I resist the need to respond?
answer yourself.
What's that? Well, what does that do? If I say, you can say that, I'm just going to keep going out 7 days a week. I'm just going to keep getting better social skills and results. I'm just going to keep making better videos. I'm just going to record better real life interaction footage when I could. And I'm just going to keep doing more free events. I do free events, free videos, become a better public speaker, add more value, manage my energy, and all y'all can suck my dick. I'm just going to focus on this. Say what you want, do what you want. I don't care. I'm just going to focus on adding value to others. That's ancient wisdom. That's real ancient wisdom. So I knew that my response would come in 20 years. My response will be there in 20, 30 years when people look at my life and compare it to their life. I understood that. I knew what my response would be. And by the way, if it weren't for cancel culture, can you imagine the rocket ride that I was on? Because that was a weird thing, right? Imagine if that had kept going. I mean, I'm already stunting on everybody. But imagine if I hadn't had that impediment. My God. And that's just some weird thing that came up. So, which is totally unpredictable, although I guess predictable, but like you'd have to have abstract knowledge on the level that no regular person could have. So, you know the state of consciousness that somebody is in if they're just focusing on adding value. Be a better marketer, have better social skills, refine your niche, get better at your craft, add more value to others. Eat nutritious foods. Don't do drugs. Don't drink alcohol. Don't worry about how you're being perceived.
The only way to react to haters that try to get in your head like that is to ignore and outcompete. Everybody say ignore and outcompete. Ignore and outcompete. That is your only real solution. And outcompete on the value front. And then watch what happens, because their energy is in that quote unquote paradigm of hell that he's talking about. And they're trying to reach up from hell and kind of drag you down to that point. And it's up to you whether you're going to capitulate to that or not. That's a fork in the road that everybody's got to make. Or a fork in the road decision everybody's got to make.
Yeah, the more decisions that you make like that, the more spiritual energy that you're building up.
Every decision, every hater is a log on the fire. That's how you got to view it. It's another log on the fire. And yes, you can, like Michael Jordan, I took it personally, like The Last Dance. Yes, there's a time where you have to compete, but you do it from a non-reactive place. And then it's game over.
Now imagine what your life would look like if instead of focusing on 1,000,000 things, you focused on the narrow road of 5 things. What might that look like for you? Maybe it would just be, for some of you, it might be hitting the gym, eating really healthy, reading great books, studying sales and marketing, getting better sales and communication skills, figuring out your niche, hammering on your niche, posting content, finding cool free things to go do that you can actually enjoy, stacking that up, and then as you do more and more of those cool free things, later you do more paid things. Maybe adding value to friends, laughing more, meditation, being more present, getting in nature, a lot of which you could do for free initially. By the time you finish out all the free stuff, you probably have enough money to do the paid stuff. And then by the time you finish all the mid-range paid stuff, you got enough money to do the super expensive paid stuff, right? You don't necessarily start in a private plane with your family in Denali. So you see how that goes? But you got to choose what you resonate with.
And not just putting things on a list just to check it off a list either. Things that you deeply, deeply, deeply from the core of your goddamn essence want. A deep excitement that rings in your bones. And then narrowing down those things as well. Because when you actually, I was thinking about this. The other day I was looking at my life and what adventures I want to have. I've had a ton of adventures. But I'm like, if I have, let's say I'm going to have 30 years of very intense adventures, whether that's partying, socializing in different cities, wingsuit jumps I want to do. I was actually looking at, okay, if I take 2 weeks to go have an adventure and film vlogs, whatever, if I do that every 6 weeks, I take 2 weeks to travel. That's about 6 trips a year. That's 60 trips the next 10 years. That's 180 trips till I'm 60. And my energy's lower at that point. Let's say 60. 180 trips, that's for somebody that it has all the freedom I want. And if you're only getting 2 weeks off a year, how much are you really auditing your time? So it's not just putting together a bucket list. Over time, it's like, what are the most important free things I want to do? What are the most important paid things I want to do? It's not just about seeing everything. If it's not a 10 out of 10 in your life, it is a 0 out of 10 in your life. Does that make sense?
Yes. Right, so Sid, how many months did you spend skydiving this year?
Last year I spent 6 months skydiving. Well, I spent 4 months skydiving, 2 months in bed from a skydiving injury. So, and then I came, like for those of y'all that were at the December free tour, as soon as I could walk again, I came straight and flew in for free tour. So it was quite a jarring experience to be in bed for 2 months and then be in front of an audience right away. But no, it's basically 6 months off last year.
Yeah, so do you guys see how there's people who consume from a place of lacking a spiritual center for the purpose of flossing on others, for the purpose of approval, for the purpose of taking, for the purpose of consumption. Then there's people who just resonate deeply with giving more. But in the process of giving more, they become like the sun, and they wind up attracting more people that want to do things from them, and then they wind up living a better life because what is the one from Kabbalion? The quote is so above, so below. Is that what it was?
I don't remember that one.
You guys remember that one, Kabbalion?
Neither above you, neither below you.
I think it's a Zen one. You're close. I think it's as above, so below. In other words, the spiritual place that you're coming from, your external reality will begin to mirror that. So by the way, the people that were shit talking that I resisted when I was young, what energy was running them? It's this reactive energy of separation, of low vibration, and of a feeding, okay?
And if you go even lower, what is it really the energy of? Death. That's what it's the energy.
What's the energy of, guys? Death. What? Death. What? Death. It's the energy of death, right?
So even when I'm doing the skydiving for 6 months, that seems almost like a blatant, gluttonous, like taker, like just go impulsively enjoy your freedom for like a shitload of time. But no, really, there's a purpose behind it as well. I'm trying to create amazing skydive footage that I can put in videos, stuff like that. So it's all even your hobbies get geared towards giving at the end of the day as well. So even you, quote unquote, taking time off or doing lifestyle activities, you resonate with higher order lifestyle activities, but then from there, you're getting an ROI, the ROI that you put into your business from that is still putting you in that paradigm of giving. So even when Owen takes time off to go skiing with his family, there's a higher order benefit that's being added to the world from that.
Yeah, is it a take and consumption, or is it your external reality is resonating with where you are internally? And so this is also why it's so valuable to get around better people, because their energy begins to entrain you, okay? You become like them. Now, when you guys think about the paradigms on social media, why isn't this genre, not me personally, but this way of thinking, this direction of thinking, not me personally, why is this not the most popular?
People of the parasite.
Parasite.
Can't be articulated in 30 seconds.
Can't be articulated in 30 seconds. It's also the larger resonance of consciousness. We need a human awakening project. People now are influenced to just be constantly haters of each other, division, distraction, escapism, mental shit.
It's also, for those of you in this room, do you guys feel a shift in the energy in this room? Are you guys feeling your RAS open up to new possibilities for your life? Maybe things that would actually genuinely obsess you in life. Things that like you're getting an opening as to what your life can actually be, who you could evolve into, how savage that would be, and it's a higher tier reality. That being said, people on the screen, they are just learning this mainly through logic. You guys are learning this through two different paradigms, which is logic and energy. It's the energy that you'll actually bring with you after this event is over. Even this event is free. You'll bring that energy with you and build the momentum off of that. That's really where the learning comes. It's connecting the logic to the energy.
So what you guys are seeing here, what we're trying to show you is the soup that you're in. And as you go back into the soup of social media and you're scrolling on Reels, try to observe the paradigm that the psychology of the people that are talking is coming from, okay? Try to observe that. And then maybe what you do is start making your own fucking Reels and start putting out your content so you can begin to see a shift. Now, we've kind of identified here different larger level paradigms, different social conditioning, the soup that it is that you're in, what it is that you're up against, what it is that is influencing you, and we've talked a little bit about how to break out of it. Now, let me kind of land the plane by making this point to you. In any generation, you've got to find something which is a crack in the dam, which there are no gatekeepers. In my view, here's what I actually think, okay? My personal opinion is that there's not that many things that you really have leverage. Like, you try to compete as like an athlete, good luck. You try to compete as a musician, you could maybe do it with social media tools, but you know, there's a lot of competition. Actor, model, a lot of competition. Investing, you've got too much insider trading. It's very, very tough. There's just too many walls, there's too many gatekeepers. You're just shut out in too many areas.
How many of y'all in here want to be coaches? Just out of curiosity, raise your hand. I mean, a lot of people in here want to be coaches. How are you going to narrow down your niche is what he's asking. I help XYZ person solve XYZ problem in XYZ new and novel way. And then you hone it in, and then you actually do research on the data. Okay, where's there a lot of traffic but low competition, and then you begin crafting your niche from there.
Guys, when you look at okay, I'm going to try to explain something to you that's kind of abstract, but I need you to follow me here, okay? When you guys look at teachers like Dan Kennedy that teach long-form sales and marketing, what is it that he's really giving you when he teaches you how to write, you know, guys like John Carlton, kick-ass copywriting, secrets of a marketing rebel, things like that? What are they actually giving you? What is like boil down deeper what it actually is. Boil it down to the core of what that means to the average person that a book like that exists. Boil it down. What is that? What is it?
How to make money.
It's how to make money. Okay, cool.
Psychology.
It's psychology, okay. But what is it really?
It's a roadmap, a guide.
It's a roadmap, but what is it really?
Their beliefs and all that.
It is a sling in David's hands against Goliath. It is, what they're teaching you is, you don't need to have the genetics of a male model. You don't need to have the genetics of an NBA basketball player. Not that they have to have genetics plus nonstop work, by the way. You don't need to have the rich parents that pay for Harvard. You don't need to have the rich parents that give you a $100 million trust fund. You don't need to sacrifice a goat and go to the Epstein Island. Okay? You're not blocked out, okay? It means that a regular peon plebeian, a fucking pleb, a mentally retarded pleb, can pick up a book, study the living shit out of it, and learn how to sell anything. Then when you look at things like information marketing, you don't even need to have inventory, okay? Look, back in the day when I recorded Foundations, Transformations, Blueprint Decoded, Jeffy Show, Natural Tim, these things, if you know my history, okay? We had to go pay about $100,000 to record those things. And then we had a place called Corporate Disc in Chicago that would print the binders and they would print the DVDs. We'd pay designers to do the cool art and stuff on the covers, on the DVDs. They're really cool, by the way. Miss the cool era. Back in the day, we pay that, and that would cost a couple $100,000 to hold the DVDs at the warehouse. Then we'd have to mail the DVDs. In addition to that, so we'd have 1,500 G's down on the production, tens of thousands, if not over six figures, on holding the DVDs. This was like 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, okay? Now, if we wanted to sell it, in our case, we had a guy named Eben Pagan, aka David D'Angelo, and he was spending tens of millions of dollars a year to go on AskMen.com, and he had this thing called the KISS test, and then that would sell an ebook, and that was a lead funnel, and it was a book called Double Your Dating. And then that thing, he made me the primary speaker on a ton of his DVD sets. So I had ongoing lead flow from that, and then I also had the Neil Strauss book, which shit-talked me, but it got me a lot of leads, tons of them. Okay? He shit-talked the shit out of me, but, I mean, it was a death blow, but it was a lot of fucking leads, okay? Back in the day, for like 5-7 years after that fucking book, people would come to my trainings and go, because I was the bad guy in the book, they'd be like, I never thought I'd be on your training, That's my life. Like literally, that's my fucking life. Like I thought you were evil. I wanted to kill you, man. But I had all these clients. That was like my whole fucking life. Like literally, it was great. It was a crazy time. I'd walk around knowing people want to beat the shit out of me. But it happened, right? It helped me. But then this was the epiphany. I was with my buddy Oljai, and it was New Year's Eve. I was there with my kids, and he says, "Hey, Owen, look at this thing called YouTube." I said, "What's this?" He shows me. He goes, there's this thing called the Jedi Kid. You guys remember this shit? He goes, there's this thing called the Epic Squirrel. And there's a squirrel that goes, dun, dun, dun. The squirrel turns around. And it's like this kid, like a Jedi kid, right? And I left our New Year's, and I said to all my kids, I go, wait a minute, why didn't we watch the ball drop on the Times Square thing? Did we miss the ball drop? That's weird. Why didn't we watch the ball drop? Did we just watch a Jedi kid and a fucking squirrel? Oh shit, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm rich. Oh man, I'm rich. They're giving me a broadcasting mechanism. Oh shit, I'm gonna be rich. And we had DVDs coming out back then that we would invest all that money into, and then we'd sell them, make like $500,000 or $1 million. And I'd done my first $2 million sales by my mid-20s on Blueprint Decoded, $2 million, kind of cool, mid-20s. But what happened was I realized we're gonna stop doing these DVDs until we mastered YouTube. Every other company would shit talk me saying, look at fucking Owen and RSD, and like, these guys are just releasing free shit on YouTube. And all my partners were like, stop releasing all the seminars for free. We've got to go release on DVDs. And I said, until we've mastered this, not happening. And so I went and got a basic level handycam so that I didn't have to pay all the money. And then I started learning free social public speaking so I could release faster. Instead of spending 4 or 5 years on a digital product like Blueprint or Foundations, I would just do free social public speaking, and I started pumping these things out, okay? I did that, and we lost a lot of money. We lost and lost and lost and lost and lost and lost, and it got hard. But I knew that if we kept going, we would dominate the space. We wound up running probably 85% of the space until they stopped us. And they stopped us pretty good. I mean,
and notice the free associative public speaking and the improv public speaking, as that compounds in quality and his skill set, does it become better than a paid course that you would have taken 5 years to do later? I mean, before. So right now, the way we're improving, this is what's like what we did today, just riffing with you guys, is what someone would take a year to prepare to present, if not more, with less energy.
And we knew ultimately that we had to do it because we knew we needed faster output. I'd seen how Lil Wayne would just drink a bunch of codeine and do guest starring roles, and he would have faster turnaround than Eminem that would write down for 2 years. So we saw that trend was happening, that you needed faster turnaround. So I started doing that. Man, you could not get an inch in the fucking space back in the day. Now, we also had to realize social interaction, right? Now, once you couldn't do that, that's what laid the space for all these dumb fucks to put out their stuff, because they can't actually produce the result they talk about, but they could just talk, and then we also had our issues. So then, things change. But the point is, imagine we could have kept going. Now, from that standpoint, what I would say to you is, that is a crack in the dam. That is a crack in the fucking dam. And what I mean by this is that no one could stop me. Well, until we got a little too big, right? But up to a point, no one can stop you. So what happens is that if you right now are broke, there's no one to stop you from getting better communication skills. There's no one to stop you from getting better at social media. So you can actually compete meritocratically and not in an overcrowded niche. Now, it's getting more crowded, but it's not an overcrowded niche. If you're a plumber, you should have a YouTube. If you're an electrician, a chiropractor, a florist, you should have a YouTube. Why? Because you're scaling the work that you're doing every single day. You could be recording that shit off your fucking phone. The phones these days are better cameras than I had back in the day, that I made millions off of. Now, once we had those social media assets, how much money do you think we made? Holy shit. Guys, I've recorded 12-minute videos. 12 minutes, one take, Timmy, motherfucker. Post it, 500 grand, couple days. Poof. Nothing. I've done proper launches that I kind of tweaked it and fuck with it, and we make a couple million. It ain't shit. Do you understand? It ain't shit. It ain't nothing, okay? Why? Because we just used the tools that we had. Because I wanted to have fun, okay? I want to have fun. Look, I see a similar thing with socializing and dating, where you'll see guys that are just addicted on going out and chatting, but they never have a girlfriend. I'm like, why do you never have a girlfriend? How come you never go home with anybody? It's like they're just addicted to kind of dicking around with the process, but never actually getting the result. I had results since my first year because I enjoy life. I want to win. I want to have fun. I don't want to sit around dicking around. I want to land the plane. You see what I'm saying? I want to land the plane. There's a resonance with landing the fucking plane. Like, you want to have fucking fun. I want to travel. I don't just like, people are like, you know what I'm going to do when I have kids? I'm going to just take them to every fucking city and take them to this and take them to that. And they never do it. I talk about it, I do it. Guys talk about getting a crazy social skill set. They never do it. I just go do it. Guys talk about getting better at sales and marketing. They never do it. They talk about getting famous on social media. They never do it. They talk about traveling, seeing the world. They never do it. They talk about going to badass restaurants. They never do it. Why not? Because they don't even fucking resonate with it. So that's what I'm trying to show you. On some level, it's a spiritual bondage. We saw it in 2020 when people demanded solutions to put them under further bondage. You could see it. It was clear as day. And we see it today in the entire permeating in the entire fucking culture. So take the easy win. And why is it that getting better at communication is such an obvious win? Why? Because there's unlimited upside. You can continue to get better at it. Could me and Sid just keep doing this all day for the next fucking month? Yeah. We can. Why? Because it's a muscle. So just like social skills get better the more that you go out, communication gets better the more that you make videos. It just gets better the more that you do it. So you can just go do it. And unlike bodybuilding, for example, where at a certain point you kind of max out your genetic potential. You took every creatine and protein and you took steroids. You kind of max out. I've never seen social skills max out. I've never seen somebody max out on public speaking. I've never seen it. All that I've seen is every single year, even when you get old and gray, your skills go up if you put in the time. Now, imagine me. What if I didn't want to do these courses anymore? I said, fuck these courses, and I want to make money doing something else. Can I do it? Yeah. If you ran a business, would you want me to be the rainmaker for you? Yeah. Would you want to bring me in and help sell your shit? Yeah. So I can make money doing fucking anything, okay? There's a certain point where someone's just a savage. Like, they're just savage. Like, it's like a goddamn wild animal. It's like a wolf, just a wild animal.
So, beyond him just being savage, his brand will translate. That's like the big piece people are not even seeing. The brand will translate to the point where even if he wasn't a savage, people would pay him. Because brand is the most important thing. It's more important than your communication skills, your persuasion, all that stuff. The brand is built through communication. It's built through the summation of different touch points, how people view you. But the communication skills is just the cherry on top at that point.
Yeah, I'll tell people, like, they'll be running a business and they don't have enough money. I go, get your fucking clients on the phone. I'll handle this. Get your clients on the phone. I'll close them. Just get your clients on the phone. I'll deal with it with you. I'll deal with it for you. Well, I'll handle it for you. They're like, no way, really? I'm like, yeah, put your clients on the phone. Let me talk to them for like an hour. I talk to them for an hour. Oh, there's $250,000 sitting in their bank account now. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. Well, of course there is, because you don't know how to fucking communicate, like I told you. But you're my friend, so I'm going to bail you out. My friends will be in a fight with their girlfriend or wife. Wife won't stop being a bitch. I'm like, let me talk to her. Let me fucking talk to her. Yeah, I just sort it out. Now they're going to have a threesome. Let me sort it out for you. Okay? I'll have a buddy, like, I can't get a girlfriend. I won't do this for you guys at scale, but I have a good friend. I can't get a girlfriend. I'm like, all right, I'll give you a girlfriend. Yeah, I'll just talk to one of my female friends if it's the right fit. You got to meet this guy. He's amazing. Sid's like really into girls with fat asses. I remember one time I was just bored. I was in my wheelchair in Venice, and I just saw a girl with a fat ass. And I just said, you're going to go home with Sid. And she did, like right away. Sid's like, damn, thanks, bro. We bumped into her again in Vegas. I go, here, we're going to do it again. Same girl, bumped into her in Vegas. So, it's like, yeah, I did that within about half an hour. They were running off home together in about half an hour. So, so it's like you can solve problems for people, right? Oh, you need a girlfriend? I'll get you a girlfriend. Don't worry about it. I'll get you a girlfriend. It's easy. You need some money? I'll get you some money from your clients. What do you need? You see what I'm saying here, right? Oh, you're having a problem at work? Here, I'll talk to your staff. You got a little mutiny at work? I'll talk to your staff. Oh, you can't get let in a restaurant? Here, put me on the phone with them. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? Okay, because it's communication, right? So you learn how to, so what happens is, okay, compare that to people that are embedded in the system, right? They're not savage like that. What they do is they rely on venture capital and they rely on leverage. But any of those dumb fucks, you take away their venture, you take away their money, you take away their leverage, they can't start from scratch. So most of it that we're teaching you here is basically something that Peter Thiel made a book about. What is the title of Peter Thiel's book?
0 to 1.
0 to 1. He had great mentors. What is the title of Peter's book?
0 to 1.
He had great mentors. 0 to 1. Okay, 0 to 1. What is it that we're really showing you here? What are we showing you?
Communication skills.
0 to 1.
Yeah, start from scratch.
I'm showing you how to start from scratch. You don't have 10 million to invest in some weird scheme. You don't have a bunch of leverage. You don't have rich parents. What can you actually fucking build to convert? Marketing skills, sales skills, communication skills, dating skills, social skills, video creation skills. This is what built my life. This is what was my revelation. So what I'm doing, now by the way, is there a more likely subject matter than what I teach to cause a guy to melt down in real time and hate me and to run away in fear? So I take the most volatile, sensitive subject matter, master it, and then get you to master it. How much balls do I have to do that? I mean, so it's an obsession with actually having the results, okay? I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I fucking love it. I want the hardest one, okay? Julian will have like these cracked out, demon-possessed students on occasion, and he's like, dude, like, this is crazy. I go, send him to me. I'm like, I want him. Bring me your demon. Bring me your weird, highly likely to refund weirdo. Yeah, he might stab me. This one guy told Julian he was gonna assassinate him. I was like, come on here, let me meet him. I was like, hey man, he was like, what's up, bro? I'm like, come on man, you're gonna shoot Julian? I'm like, why gonna shoot Julian? Come on man, why don't we just go learn? Like, let's just go fucking do some awesome shit. Let's go out. He's like, okay, come on man, let's go out. Let's go. You know what I'm saying, right? Let's go. Some of you guys who here can confirm this? There's actually a known psychopath that occasionally just walks into my programs. I let him stay. Who here can confirm that? Do you guys know who that is? Can you confirm that I do that? Yeah. I just let him come. People are like, why just let him come? I'm like, he needs a little help. Yeah. That guy's fucking crazy though. Yeah, now by the way, total psycho, okay? Yeah, he's done home invasions on me and shit. Yeah, I'll wake up, he's there. I'm like, what's that?
I have a different opinion.
Yeah, he has a different view. But here's the thing. I'm just chill like that, right? Now the thing is this, right? Because I don't care. And here's the other thing about it. Now maybe I'll wind up dead, but here's the thing. I don't mind dying. And here's the best way I put it to you. He's less afraid of death than me. So what I would say is, I have tested this guy, and anytime he can be in the room, anytime something gets super high paradigm, what do you think happens to him? Walks out. Anytime that I go super high paradigm, he either falls asleep in his chair, he goes, oh, and he falls asleep, or he walks out, okay? So to me, that's just like a challenging.
Don't ignore what he said right there. Like, the dude will literally fall asleep. I saw this at a New York event like 3-4 years ago. It's the same shit he was talking about. When the sludge is over the mind and the paradigm is too high, you block it out. You get blind spots. And he's not ready to hear that information. The moment we were out on boot camp one day, and the moment he got into a little bit of an argument with the guy just to test him, you remember this in New York? Mm-hmm. The guy started going crazy and getting into that reactive loop. So at the end of the day, like, he's letting the psycho in, but he's not reacting to the psycho. He's talking about shit that's beyond his paradigm, so he falls asleep or walks out of the room. But like clockwork, it's kind of weird. It's freaky. And I'm not a woo-woo kind of guy, but I saw that shit and I was like, there's something to this.
Yeah, why is he drawn to my seminar specifically?
He wants to kill you.
Part of it, he wants to kill me. But it's also that there's something in him trying to wake up. So it's a weird crossroads that he's actually at. So for me to deny him access to that would be denying an important function that I have to play. So I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can. I don't mind that. It's also a chance for me to gain incredible leverage. It's a chance for me to wake up. It's a chance for me to challenge myself as a teacher. So I like having tough students. Now, most teachers don't like that. They want to have a financially qualified student. They want to have a student that's not likely to create chaos. I'll dabble. I'll take that guy who's a fucking weirdo. I'll try. Okay? There's a guy in this room. He probably won't admit it. Who I could tell was like kind of possessed, and I talked to him for like 2 hours. And I watched as he accused me of crazy shit and went nuts and all this stuff. And I just kept talking to him. He's in the back of the room. He's out there right now, actually. So I talked to him, and I'm being a little mean right now with some honest opinion. And I talked to him, and he's like, well, it's like this, and fucking, he had a million blocks, and I sat there with him on the phone for a couple hours. So he's here right now. He can confirm it to you. Why do I do this? What's the purpose?
Give.
What's the purpose of free tour? Growth, expansion, fuck around, learn, right? So it's not just about money, guys, okay? It's also about learning, growing, expanding. Your work and your occupation, what you're doing is meant to be your expansion, okay? Now I'm giving you a workout here, right? Because you guys have been here for hours now. And because there was, I'll post this, but you guys were here for twice the amount of time as what I'll post. And you'll be here tomorrow and you'll be here the next day. So I'm giving you guys a workout and I'm holding you in the pocket for a longer period of time than you're used to. How does it feel?
Good.
Right? I'm holding you there for longer, okay? Now, we talk about these topics. Let me tell you why. Because at a certain point, self-help for us felt like fucking LARPing. Do you guys know what LARPing is?
Yeah.
Or cosplay. You guys know cosplay? Yeah. Right? Like people dress up as like an anime character, or they dress up as a like LARPing is it's live action role play. Like people will dress up like they're in Dungeons and Dragons, and they'll be like firebolt, lightning bolt, magic bolt. They like pretend, they're like and they like dress up. To me, most personal growth is about finding peace within the golden cage, but not escaping the cage. So it's very coping driven, not thriving driven, okay? So what we're trying to show you here is not coping, it's thriving based. And we're telling you to set the bar high because you can. I'm not trying to make you feel miserable. I'm not trying to sell you on a dream, although I kind of am. But largely what I'm trying to show you is a little arrow at what your potential is, okay? You have tremendous, tremendous potential. Your life has incredible potential. What you can do has huge potential, but you've got to wake up out of it. What do we have back in the day? We had church back in the day. But what happened was the church isolated itself, became more insular, and in a weird way almost seeks to alienate people to some extent as a way to achieve superiority. So, they'll go out on the street and go, Jesus will save you. If you don't come, you're going to go to hell. Is that a way to relate to people? Is that putting the Skittles on the scale? No, it's almost like you're trying to drive the people away and make them not believe. So to me, what happened was they failed to modernize, and then they're like, well, we're not going to modernize because we're the chosen ones, while everyone else fucking dies and suffers. And they get so used to fucking losing that losing becomes a way of life. So at a certain point, losing becomes a way of life, and demoralization sets in. Let me give an example. How many of you here would die for your country? Basically, fucking it. Put your hand on W. It's basically nobody. Why? Mass demoralization. How many people feel like the country's on a path of ascension? Mass demoralization. How many of you would feel confident to get a wife or woman to get a husband? Mass demoralization. How many of you trust your fellow countrymen and country people? Mass demoralization. How many of you feel like we're going in a better direction? Mass demoralization. But at a certain point, someone's got to come in and say, fuck you. Fuck that shit. Fuck that garbage. Okay? Fuck that garbage. We can win. Okay? We can win. You had a point? An important one?
Yeah. Don't you think there is a reason people don't want to die for their country?
Absolutely there is. I've said that in many videos.
The government.
COVID, government, chopping wieners off. I get it.
Why would I die for the country?
Why would they? That's the point. It's the mass demoralization. So why would you put your hand up first? But what I would also tell you is, a lot of you guys are here in your 20s. What would happen if you began to take on a leadership role now, by the time you're 50 or 60?
You can penetrate.
You can.
It's like the elites.
This entire seminar has been about that penetration, and the elites are many people that I've taught in person, one-on-one or in groups. So what I'm getting at here is this. At a certain point, someone has to say no. Say the word no.
No.
In other words, I'm not going to be demoralized. I'm not going to be emasculated. Fuck this shit, okay? At a certain point, you say, I'm sick of just fucking losing. Losing is not going to be a way of life anymore. Just not. I'm done with that shit. And what you can do is you can create your own ecosystem, and you can use the cracks in the dam, and you can use the areas where there's no gatekeepers, and then you can begin to seek an entry point there, right? If you guys remember, the main guy that pushed our niche back in the day was, again, Eben Began, David D'Angelo, and he walked a certain journey, and this is what his journey was. He made an ebook, He got just enough money to buy a little bit of cold traffic. He sold the ebook. He made DVD sets. He bought more cold traffic. He built that up, and then he wound up building Get Altitude. He wound up building a marketing business. Then he wound up buying different people's businesses and being a part of it and having stock in it. Then he wound up making more and more money. Here's the path that he had. He went from worker to entrepreneur to investor, and what happens at the end? What's the end of that chain? Philanthropist, right? Worker, entrepreneur, investor, philanthropist. So you can go on that path, but you've got to find a crack in the dam. You've got to do what? 0 to 1. It's 0 to 1. So what I'd say to you is, like, when you'll say no, the elites and da-da-da, I'm telling you that's the mass demoralization, okay? There's a point where you say, kill me, motherfucker. I'm not going out like that. I'm just not. Yeah, I'm just not. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. There has to be a sense, there has to be a rejection of that entire paradigm where you just go, no, I'm not living my fucking life like that. This is fucking bullshit. Get fucked, fuck off, fuck you, okay? There has to be a point where you say, I'm sick of losing. I'm not just gonna have a loser psychology anymore. And that's the direction that they've tried to take us. Don't let them do it to you, okay? Don't give up. Don't let them do it to you. In fact, you'd be better off dead than adopting that paradigm. Better off dead than ingesting their shit. You'd be better off to just die. Because then at least your soul would go somewhere better than if you adopt those paradigms and you go right to fucking hell, okay? And not hell like a fucking guy with pointy horns, but in terms of your own essence and what it would be drawn towards upon death. Now, as you see these paradigms when you go out in public, you're gonna recognize it like that. You're gonna see it like fucking crazy. It's everywhere. You're in a fucking sludge. And what you've gotta do is you've gotta get yourself into environments and into places that are not feeding that. That's really ultimately why the church needs to step up or completely redo itself and modernize. That's just gonna have to happen. There's a lot of great churches, but they're not winning right now, okay? They're not winning. You know, for us, by the way, when I was even in my niche, and I understood that there was a lot of people that were negative, that were cynical, people that had a lot of flawed paradigms, I didn't just give up and say, no, I can't win hearts and minds. I said, no, I can win hearts and minds. I can learn how to do this, okay? I can shift things. I can make a difference. So understand your power, your capacity to make a difference. You really do have that. And there's some people that are built to make a difference on a mass scale. But for some of us, our path is in our own lives and as an example in our own lives. So that's really what it is that we're trying to show you here. And what's going to happen is if you undergo this path, you will break out of the diversion, you will break out of being asleep, and the rewards that you get will be beyond anything that you can imagine. But it's not just going to be about taking or receiving or clasping. Rather, it will be about your own essence and how it expands. It will be about what you're able to perceive, and here's the main thing that it will give you, and I'll leave you with this. If all that you are is a set of automated reactions, you're an automaton. You're completely asleep. You have little, what I've called in other videos, RAS flips, selfish, RAS flips, and basically your entire awareness is rooted in biological drives. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm horny, whatever. Ego gratification, social conditioning, the addictions of the body itself, and so on and so forth. If that's where your awareness lies, what would be there upon death that's left of you? How are you different from a cow that you eat for dinner, right? You guys will mostly eat steak today, right? Hamburger, whatever, this week. A chicken, a fish, a pork? What is different about a human? Why don't you just eat a fucking human? All these dead human bodies, why don't you eat a fucking human? They'll clickbait that one. So, okay, so why don't you just take a fucking stick and screw a human and just start chomping on him? Why? What's the justification for why we wouldn't do that? Morality. They're a sentient being, it's immoral. And you definitely never should, because all humans have the capacity for sentience. But the reward is sentience. That's the reward. The reward is actual sentience. That's the reward. The reward is sentience. And the punishment is non-sentience. And the punishment is living at the mercy of your reactions and your limited reality and your limited ability and being at the effect of life and living in a fucking haze. So can you make a lot of money? Can you change the world? Can you have a better dating life? Yeah, fuck yeah, you can. But there's also the greatest reward, which is sentience, which is awakening, which is your awareness residing in who you actually are. It's going from being Pinocchio to a real boy. And what I've tried to explain to you guys is a crack in the dam. You've got to find something to sharpen the sword against, right? You got to find something to sharpen it. So for a lot of you guys, you know, this could be a fancy way of me saying, become a marketer, you know, right? Get better social skills, get better communication skills. That's sort of a fancy way of me saying that. But what I would also say is, you know, in the future, there'll be other things. There'll be other cracks in the dam. There'll be other lanes that you could actually go practice this on. These are just some examples of ones that exist right now. But there'll be other ones that you can practice on in the future. People would watch this talk in the future. There'd be other ones. But always always be seeking that crack in the dam. Always be looking for that opportunity. And then always be using that to develop yourself and to sharpen the sword. And what you'll find is you'll be sitting out at the top of some mountain with your whole family, or you'll be doing some beautiful trip, or you'll have your dream partner, or you'll be doing work that's very, very satisfying and it really fulfills you. But you'll also see these internal shifts as you're doing it. And that's living. Okay, that's living. And you know, if you die and you kind of gave more to life than you took, then you beat the game. But I'd say that there's levels of beating the game. Because also, if you give more than you took, did you actually give to your potential? And then as you gave to that potential, did you just self-sacrifice and become a fucking martyr? Or did you enjoy the process and actually have some fun with it? And actually get real fulfillment from it? And when you do that, how did that expand your mind? And how did that expand your essence? How did that expand your soul? So that's what I'm leaving you with. I'm gonna do some exercise with you guys. But we tried to present a sort of paradigm here. I don't know if this will be one of our more popular videos. I think it's a tough one to absorb for most people. But you guys were here in the room. It's a special night. This video will be around long after I'm dead and gone. So you guys are here for a special evening. And you guys are special. I want to thank you guys for being here. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you.